prepare for this event, we haven't changed much because our mentality is if something is working, we will do the same, right? We just put up a lot more scrims, a lot more trainings. We had a boot camp for 2 weeks, so we discussed the main mistakes, tried to figure it out.
The biggest strength of our team is that we were very aggressive. We're not scared of anyone, and we just like to keep challenging people and see if they can kill us in gunfights.
.まずね、グループエンパイア、TSM、イモータルズ、この3つに関してはもうオンラインでね、日本でコーチと共にしっかりと動画見て対策してるんで、バッチシと勝ってグループステージ抜けれるかと思います。
To all the teams in the Group A, you guys can expect a new MIBR that will try new tactics in the field, and we are looking for the playoffs. We're gonna try our best.
I would say to our opponents is that don't challenge Bolo on land. He's a whole different beast.
あなた方と試合できて光栄です。悪いですけど勝たせてもらいます。
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your Group A teams that'll be stepping up to the plate here at the beginning and at the end of our stream for today, as we'll be seeing Norengo go up against MIBR, formerly known as Immortals, at the end of the stream here today on the primary stream. But to start things off, we will still stay in Group A. It's going to be Team Empire going up against TSM. We've got some new blood and some slightly less new blood facing off against each other.
It's a way to start the day, isn't it? It's going to be incredible. I mean, these two rosters, especially with how well Team Empire has been doing recently with Dan. They picked him up April 18th. It's only been 4 months, and this man's already a Pro League Finals victor. It's insane. But we do also have Shockwave here, which is a former member of Team Empire. He's going to be playing with fours now. Then we have TSM, as you were saying, the new blood is going to be having to go up against the Russian machine. We'll have to see how it goes, man. It's the Raleigh Major. If there's a time to beat him, it's right now. It's just all about setting tones. Who's going to have the hot hand? We're on land. This is where everything counts. Everything matters. The game works beautifully. We're all very excited for it.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see as well how I think the Russian region in general continues to develop now that we have Shockwave's new team here. He seems to be bringing a very similar style to the table that he did to Empire. So it's going to be cool to see how that team continues to develop over the next couple days as well here through the group stage, and possibly further than that if we can see fours push out of their group and into the quarterfinals. But to talk more about this matchup, of course, we have Empire stepping up to the plate, and they are not a team anyone should be doubting, starting to contest even the likes of G2's own dynasty, which has seemed relatively uncontested for the past year or so now almost.
Yeah, I didn't even have a scratch on it up until that Coastline game, but after that, G2 had him on the ropes and just continued pounding down until they ended up winning that best of 5 pretty handedly. But again, that Coastline game that they played at the 6 Invitational against Team Empire, 22 rounds, remember the number correctly, but it is the longest map to ever be played instead of a sanctioned match.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, of course, G2 is going to be looking to defend their own title once again here at the Major. And there's doubts as to whether they were going to be able to do that. It's going to be another test for them, of course, as teams are constantly getting better, constantly improving their own game plans, with Empire being the best example of that. Like we were saying earlier, we've got a lot of new blood coming into the fold here as well, fours being the most prevalent out of that one. These by far the craziest as well when you look at their play style, and that's going to be fun to see come out. But then you've got the same thing coming in from North America with guys like TSM stepping up to the plate. Bolo, of course, the streamer, now turned pro player, still a streamer as well, and looking to make an impact for their first time on land. And it's not just all about Bolo, at least when it comes to TSM. You got Merc, who has really impressed me with his online capability, his pre-aim and his just in general his aim placement is something that I haven't seen matched yet in Siege. It's a little bit hit or miss. Sometimes we don't see it from him in matchups if he's a little bit nervous or not warmed up too well. But when he's on, man, he is on, and you cannot challenge this man in an open 1v1. That on top of clutch capability from guys like even like Biologic and whatnot is starting to make TSM look like a pretty well-rounded roster, and one that I think is going to continue to rise over the next few months.
Yeah, I think the addition of Pojo Man's going to help them out a lot as well with that veteranism now coming online for TSM. They didn't have that before when they had Crusher, and now with Pojo Man sitting at the, I guess, the top of the hill for TSM, really. I mean, there's really no one else you look to and go, that's where you get all of this, you know, strategy from for their roster. I mean, especially with the likes of Bolo and as well as Merc coming on. It's a whole new dynamic for them. But with that being said, we now have Team Empire up on the board, so we'll start a little bit of discussion about them. We have Shepard, Joystick, Dan, Scyther, and Karzeka. And the two people to notate here out of this entire roster, I mean, they all are all-stars in their own right, but it's going to be Joystick and Dan. Joystick for his cyborg plays, man. Everyone thinks that he's not even a human being. That's how good this man is at the game. But Dan, what do you think of Dan?
I think Dan is slotted into the role pretty much perfectly. He's done exactly what they needed to do, filling in for Shockwave, and it's like the team really hasn't skipped a beat for the most part here.
No.
Slopped right in and just fulfilling the role pretty much perfectly. So he's been a nice slot in. Another player that I like to talk about as well is Shepard, who does a really good job, especially supporting Joystick in a lot of situations when it comes to either like defensive roaming capability or trying to support Joystick as he leads the charge on attack as well. Those two seem to work very well together, and it's an incredibly strong power. I mean, you can see it. Look at the rating, like exactly 1-to-1. One is just as strong as the other when it comes to the stats department. And that makes for a very scary combination if you aren't able to deal with both quickly, as it allows for things like easy trade capabilities, and through that, a team can get an early advantage on a round, which starts that snowball that a lot of teams, especially on a defensive side, are not able to deal with if they, say, lose their roamers early in a round to that combo.
Yeah, and you also have that assassin in the likes of Joystick, where he had the most opening kills at SI. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was 31, but he also had the most opening deaths. So it's either he gets that initial frag or he is the one that loses the gunfight. But again, he wins most of them. So at least you got that going for you.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at TSM's roster here in just a moment as well and see what exactly they're bringing to the table for this slam. We already talked about them a little bit, but here's the refresher in case you need it. Pojo Man, who stepped in recently. Biologic, achieved. Bolo, excuse me. I always get that wrong. Sorry. Bolo. And Merc. Had to make that mistake at least once. We'll get that out of the way early. But
it's early in the morning. We'll get
it's what is it? It's 9:57.
Yeah, we all had to wake up at 8 for this, but hey, it's good. It's
gamer
right.
time doesn't start till 10. That's when the games start.
Yeah, we're all very excited for this, though. And again, here's TSM, Pojo Man filling in for Crusher now. And again, if you guys did not watch TSM's matches coming up through the Raleigh qualifier, you need to go back and watch, because Pojo definitely still has it. Lol in chat, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
On Clubhouse and that basement
was
round,
incredible.
By far one of the most impressive clutches we've seen in the past few months in Siege. So it's going to be fun to see if he can carry over that type of performance here, at least in the stats department. He's leading the team right now, but like we were talking about before, Bolo with a really good playmaking capability. It's risky, though. That's the thing, and this is where players on Empire might be able to punish things early on, is if they are able to catch Bolo, because he tends to take quite a few risks in order to make the plays that he makes, and sometimes it's a little more hit or miss. So we'll have to see how that pans out against a team that has been at the top echelon for almost a year now, like Empire.
Yeah, but you also have to talk about the two main fraggers on that team. You have Achieved, and you also have Merc. Those two together have been finding so many frags for this team, especially in the likes of Achieved. I mean, you guys saw he has the highest stat line besides Pojo rating-wise. Overall, he is plus 47 on his kills, though, as you guys did see on that previous screen. And Achieved is definitely no slouch. Again, he's surrounded by two people that are, in their own right, superstars. You have Bolo as well as Pojo Man. One coming from the comp scene, one coming up as a streamer, which everyone loves. When does Bolo play? It's going to be very soon.
2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes.
I had to guess. We're just missing one player from the lobby. And of course, we have to take a look at the maps, which I'm sure we will get on screen in just a second as well, to see where this matchup is going to be heading. As of course, folks, it is going to be a best of 3. When we jump into it here in just a second, we'll see where exactly the maps are going to be going. And here we go. It's time for the bans and picks. Like we said before, best of 3, so you can already see how it lands out. It's a ban, pick, ban, remainder. That's how we are going to do it here at Raleigh. Consulate and Villa are the first 2 knocked out by either team.
Clubhouse in. Guys, we're keeping Clubhouse in.
I was wondering if TSM likes to play on it, but yeah, Kafe is going to be the pick from TSM. Doesn't surprise me too much when you consider how dominant TSM have been. It's obviously the newest map to come into the pool. For those of you who might not have followed the scene in a while, we saw Oregon get swapped out for Kafe in the most recent update. So Kafe being brought back in, TSM has thrived on it in interregional matchups, so I think they want to bust it out here as well. Clubhouse, of course, being the expected pick from Empire. We've been seeing them stomp on it all across their lands, of course, and all across the online phase as well, with Coastline and Bank being the next bans. Coastline kind of a surprising one for TSM. They don't have the most amazing record on it, but they play it a lot, so it's surprising to see them specifically ban it out. Border, interestingly enough, going to be the decider, which is really surprising for me, because up until this point, that was both these teams permaban.
Yeah, also, Empire's only played Kafe one time.
Yeah, but
So
if you look at the stats, they also haven't had it banned by opponents, and they themselves haven't necessarily banned it out a whole lot. So it seems like a map that they're willing to play. I was talking to you in the pregame as well, or before we actually went live, that like, okay, maybe they're saving this as like a pocket pick for this event or something like that, and I think that may have confirmed my suspicions of the fact that they're willing to go for it. But yeah, you're looking at it now, the border stats, right?
TSM has banned Border 17 times, everyone.
And if memory serves me correctly, I believe Empire has banned it 9 times recently.
They have banned it 9 times. Look at you.
Yeah. So, considering that, like I said, both these teams permabans, suddenly they're willing to flesh it out. So,
sounds like a major.
I'm going to be honest, I want to get to that third map now to see what these teams have prepped for border.
Looks like a major. Sounds like a major.
It's a major.
It's a major.
The group stage still, but it is a major.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if there's a time to bring it out, you know, I mean, in a map pool that is only 7 maps, you have to be able to play every single one. I mean, we don't have a lot to choose from just yet. Might be coming in a future update. We really don't know just yet. But as of right now, only 7 maps inside of the map pool. So you have to be prominent, or at least be able to play every single one of them if it comes down to that. Because you only get to ban 1 off rip. So, I mean, you're going to have your perma, but even with that, we really don't have the perma.
Yeah, no, both teams are like okay and willing to go to that. So
it seems more of a spot ban, like, okay, we really don't want to play you here. We're okay with this, but we really don't want to play you guys here. So I feel like throughout this land especially, it's going to be a lot more of, we don't feel confident in playing you guys on this map, but we're confident on it overall.
Like I said, and as well, like the choice to ban out Coastline, which is a map that, for the most part, like we don't really see Empire play that much at all. They've only got 1 map played on it in recent history, but TSM specifically chose to ban that out, which is one of their most played maps.
It doesn't have the best worst maps.
Yeah, it doesn't have the best record. I'll say that. They've only got a 4-3 record overall, and it's slightly in the positive with the win-loss ratio, but they have played it 7 times, which is tied for their most played, next to, I believe, like Kafe and maps like that, or excuse me, Clubhouse is actually tied for their most played map. Kafe comes as a close second, though, with 6 plays over the past few months. So it's going to be fun to see how this plays out, ladies and gentlemen. We are very, very close to match time indeed here. We should have most of our players in the lobby at this point. Just want a quick reminder that we are running 2 streams as usual here at the Major, folks. So if you want to check out the action that's going on over on the B stream, which, by the way, that's going to be Rogue versus Team Secret on that matchup, you can go ahead, either if you're on a PC, just add Bravo to the link above, or if you're watching us on any one of the streaming platforms, just go ahead and head back to the games directory. It should be right at the top of the list on twitch.tv or your respective platform /Rainbow6Bravo.
Yeah, but we also will be able to give you live updates over here if you guys are more interested in this game as well. And again, if you guys are on a browser source, you guys can also use that multitwitch.tv as well. If you guys don't know how to use that, it's multitwitch.tv /Rainbow6, the number 6 /Rainbow number 6 Bravo. And that will bring you to the multi-Twitch page where you can watch both streams at the exact same time, Blue.
Yep.
Exact same time.
Sure, keeping up with all the action. We've got 8 games, 8 best of 3s for you.
Got a lot
today,
of lots of
tomorrow as well.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be fun.
Lots of siege, lots of talking. It's gonna be a good day, man. I live, breathe, love this game. It's gonna be a lot. And what a way to start the day as well. I mean, TSM versus Team Empire and Rogue versus Team Secret. What more could you want? The Bionicle on the table. Oh, that's the way to embrace it. I love it, Joystick.
Everybody's got their little trinkets and whatnot as well.
Yeah, and Taro actually gave Fnatic his koala again, so you guys will be seeing that as well.
Oh, that's right. The Fnatic guys have that, I believe.
Yeah, they have the kangaroo, and then he always brings the koala to the majors and gives it to him.
All right. Well, by the way, guys, our B stream game did just go live, so if you're interested in checking that out, please feel free to go head over to / Rainbow Six Bravo on whichever stream you are currently watching us from. So they just jumped into it. They're also playing on Clubhouse as well, the map that we may see in this series too. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. This one, however, should be getting started within the next few seconds. We've got the GLHFs going into the chat now, and I believe that means we are just seconds away from getting started. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, our initial match of the Alpha stream. It's Team Empire versus TSM, and it goes to Kafe to start this matchup.
Yes, it does indeed. So, as we are going to be jumping into the ban phase now, it's going to be Team Empire on defense, TSM on offense. Team Empire presented with the first ban, and more than likely this is going to be a Montang ban. They don't like Montang. They've never liked Montang. It's actually going to be a Capitao, which again, not bad ban in its own right. Capitao is incredible on every single map at getting those defenders to move out of their places.
Aligns with recent trends and what we've been seeing, especially after his recent kind of side grade that he got. We've been seeing him used a lot more, especially for executes that are kind of connected to windowed areas and whatnot. He can cause quite a bit of a havoc from repel on or just on an execute position in general. So we'll see him get knocked out. Jackal also going to be eliminated. We've been seeing this become a trend recently. You kind of have the two different anti-roam styles now. You have a defensive anti-roam and a more aggressive anti-roam. Jackal being the best at that aggressive anti-roam, and normally not something that the defending team wants to deal with. So he gets knocked out. Echo, again, also a very common ban that we've been seeing in recent trends for Rainbow, especially with the yokais being very hard to spot in recent times. Most teams don't want to have to deal with that possibility in late round. Mira as well, a ban that we've been seeing for well over a year now.
And she's truly incredible on Kafe. She doesn't have a bad map, but there's definitely a spectrum, as in, like, for instance, Consulate is definitely not one of Mira's best maps. You can still play her there. We've seen G2 do it plenty of times, but obviously it's not one of her best maps. Whereas Kafe, she is truly a sight to behold, but we're not going to be seeing her just yet.
All right, we're getting into the first round here. Picks get locked in very quickly. As you might expect, we're going to start out at the cocktail lounge upstairs, which is pretty much where every defensive start ends up at. So we'll end up following the trends there. A couple 6 picks going to be used by both teams. Merc picking up the pick from their side, just waiting for the lock-in. There we go. He's going to head over to a Twitch, and Valkyrie also going to be picked up by Dan. So they kind of 6-pick into each other a little bit there, as they will kind of be used to counter each other out in a way.
Smart 6-pick. You never want to present Valkyrie off rip, because unless there's immediate 6-pick over to IQ, your cameras don't work, and it's going to work out for Team Empire in spades here, as they will 6-pick over the Valkyrie, and the IQ gets 6-picked off.
It's interesting the 6-pick away from the IQ, however. That could be a little dangerous, as detecting the cameras from Dan is going to be a bit of a more difficult task now, unless the Twitch drone, is able to spot them, unless, we see Merc with a good eye there to be able to pick those off in the early round, especially if they're tossed outside. They may go unhindered, which means that that's going to be some potential aggressive possibilities being opened up, especially in the early round for Empire.
Well, especially in recent history with how much Mozzie play we've had and how incredible his kit is. I mean, has 2 fantastic SMGs at Super Shorty. Good at being able to break up flooring as well for Mozzie, Nitro Cell, and then the Pest Launcher. The thing that has definitely made him a staple inside of competitive, where he's able to steal drones with those little spiders that he launches onto the floor, has control of them, and can even have control of those Twitch drones of Merc. So this is going to make it quite difficult for them to try and get any intel, especially if they start bringing out that Mute Mozzie combo that we've seen start to rear its ugly head in recent history.
Yeah, Scyther specifically choosing to go with a P10 on his Mozzie loadout. We've been seeing, I think, a few more players tend to, especially at NA at least, tend to prefer the other one, the
Commando.
Just because it has a few extra bullets in it. It's got a slow fire rate, though. I think it's a little bit slower to kill generally. The P10, I've personally found it to be slightly short on ammo. You have to be very on point with your aim to be able to confirm the kill, especially if you're fighting at like medium to long range with it. At short range, though, that thing absolutely rips players apart. I think that's why a lot of, especially more active roaming players, tend to go with that one over the Commando.
Yeah, the TTK on that is much, much shorter. Information now coming out from Merc, though, is he's going to waste both of his Twitch drones trying to gain some intel inside of Christmas. This could actually be kind of a detriment, because they're not going to have anything to get rid of those Evil Eyes except for explosives at this point. But Merc now has control of Christmas. Still in good timing as well. They need to get Pojo Man inside to get open the freezer wall.
Besides this, we've got Bolo looking to work his way in here. Starting to go for a little bit of pre-fire. No one from the side of Empire is going to choose to take that duel, though. They're still holding back relatively passively in their sight setup positions. A little bit of roaming presence, though, and Joystick in the meanwhile. So a leap out through the windows, and he's going to be able to find Achieved in the early round. Makes it back in through the garage downstairs as well.
That's a huge pick as well achieved, known for his buck play and those nades, but it's going to be Shepard to tack on as Pojo Man will fall. It seems like Team Empire being able to continue this ride as Merc will fall next. Only Bolo and Bio left alive, and it seems that Team Empire has chosen the turtle route instead of getting overly aggressive. They're going to continue to use joystick, but the crossfires from Karzeka will bear fruit as Bolo will fall as well, and it seems like this might be a perfect round to start things off for Team Empire.
Yeah, Bio unfortunately not really in a position where he can leverage much against this 1v5 situation. He was meant to sit up here, provide utility into the late round with those EMP grenades, but now has to drop in and basically work the execute from square one. Still, with not a whole lot of progress made on the destruction. You can see he's got access to work his way inside of the freezer at least, but unfortunately that's not much, especially with the diffuser down right at the doorway, and he would very easily find himself picked if he tried to push for this. So he's going to work his way up now. They should be able to detect on that. And oh, there you go. Nice and easy for Dan. He's got a small little punch hole there. Quickly takes out Bio, and it's a flawless round from Empire to start out the major.
What else do you expect from the Russian machine, honestly? That was just Team Empire as they've played before. I mean, truly insane play from them, not giving up anything over to TSM's side, and especially with the way that they play with their anchors. Nice, slow, don't over peek. If you're going to have someone peek, have your Jaeger peek, and that's going to be joystick. Who else would you want to do it? He hops outside, able to claim that first frag, and that really started to make the teeter-totter lean in their favor. TSM could not pick up the pieces. They had to worry about someone roaming underneath now, and smart rotations by joystick. Instead of trying to go for the immediate flank up red, which usually is just automatic death. You really don't want to take that route. He rotates white and starts holding down white hallway instead. Recognizing they had someone off-site, TSM tries to get aggressive up white hallway because you really need to relieve that pressure, especially for Bathroom, where we saw Dan end up picking that kill up for the last one of the round. But Team Empire ready on that front as well and end up taking the round flawlessly.
On the overall execute though, yeah, TSM trying something that we've seen a lot of teams do, which is that pretty much straightforward attack through Christmas into the freezer. Like you were saying, they did have a little bit of presence downstairs to try and deal with the roamers. Ultimately though, they could not make their way past that site setup that seems so strong from Empire. And this is going to be something that TSM are going to have to try and very quickly figure out. How do we get past these more like, you know, these very strong setups that we'll start to see from Empire? As Empire used to play this pretty crazy aggressive strategy too on defense, but I've noticed over the last couple of months, especially with the departure of Shockwave, they've kind of cooled it down a little bit. But that doesn't mean they don't know how to play against that kind of really fast, really aggressive style that TSM love to play in. I mean, TSM might find themselves a little bit out of their element here in certain situations.
Yeah, Kafe is a map where you can transition very, very well, top to bottom. It's more like Coastline, but not with the massive center. Instead, you can hop down from the top balcony, you can transition from the third floor to the second floor very quickly. And there's multiple staircases on this map, so roaming presence is definitely something that's coming quite easily, especially with the likes of Team Empire. You have Joystick and Scyther on roam right now with the other three on anchor, and as we've already seen, Joystick definitely knows how to make a move and get some presence. But again, especially with that last round, playing things very slow here, and oh no, it might be seeming that Joystick's going to go fishing out the window again. He opens up white stairs, but nothing just yet.
He nearly found one at the beginning of the round, actually. He should have been able to see a player that walked by him just over there by the pink van, but I think he missed the cue on it or just decided not to react to it. And as a result, that means he's still hidden. They don't necessarily know he's going to get aggressive, but nade retrieved. Don't think it's going to meet its mark, unfortunately, as it looks like either Dan or Joystick are going to be able to work rather. Dan does get caught on a rotate, though. Pojo Man able to isolate him out. There's already some good adjustments from TSM. They've slowed it down immensely. They're not going straight with Dragon capability, trying to use utility a lot more. However, the trade comes in from Karzeka as he knocks out Bolo in response.
Beautiful angle there by Karzeka on the Valkyrie, playing over on near new balcony over inside of Cocktail. But quick shots, it's going to be Joystick to win it out as Merc will fall. It's going to continue to be the Team Empire show for now. TSM having a good crunch on initially, but Chief seems to have fallen off his angle. What they were trying to do is they were trying to pressure Cocktail and force them out of their hideout inside of Cocktail towards the bar area or up White Hallway, where the other remaining TSM members were lying in wait, but doesn't appear to have worked out too well just yet. Dan has already rotated out as well. Karzeka will finally fall. They now have all of the upstairs control, but now they have to worry about Scyther as well as Shepard down in the middle hallway.
And they've been able to pinch out that pressure upstairs at a minimum here and still have about a minute left to work with, so not doing terrible in time. You can see they've still got this good soft destruction they can work top to bottom play with, specifically coming in from their buck as well. Scyther almost nearly being caught also. Biologic starts to pressure the red stairs, which means Scyther's going to have to pull back. Now he can't really afford to take any out in the open fights. And Shepard, of course, on smoke is just not going to be attempting that. So this is really restricted Empire. It's now all on TSM to make the execute happen with the remaining 30 seconds here. There's Shepard, though, still finding impact. He's able to knock it achieved over towards white stairs.
Quick shots by Scyther, but nothing's going to make any contact as they're trying to go into reading diffuser, now going down on the likes of Pojo Man. Shepard's rotating upstairs to try and play the vertical angle with that shotgun. It seems that they already do have the flooring open, though, as he will be able to see the thermite. He's going to go down. Bio, all that remains. Scyther does have the hot mark. Bio's already rotated outside, though. Is he aware of this rotation, or do they still think he's inside of the room? It does appear that they are ready. Scyther's going to hold the door and have Shepard rotate for the diffuser. Will he be able to win out this gunfight? If Bio sprints here, it's all over. Nitro Cell coming out, and that's going to be the kill for Scyther. A quick sail and explosion to mark the death of Biologic, and that'll be 2 rounds for Team Empire, picking up the pieces here in round 2.
A great continuation here from Team Empire. In fact, that first kill they got that Shepard found through the punch hole that was upstairs in the floorboard, that was actually opened up by Buck himself. So ultimately, TSM messed themselves up a little bit at the end of the round, but definitely not something that they would have been able to kind of foresee, so can't really fault them for that one too much. Just a little unfortunate. At the end of the day, though, good adaptation by those 2 remaining players in the site from Empire to bring back a round that seemed to be under the control of TSM, but unfortunately wasn't TSM not able to get the read onto the roaming presence there at the very end, specifically from Shepard. Caught them off and then isolated that down to a 2v1, which, as you saw with the Nitro Cell specifically, they were able to handle quite easily.
Yeah, I think for Team Empire right now, we've always expected this cool, calm, and collected playstyle from them. They never get panicked, even in a round. If it's 2v5, 2v4, 1v5, it doesn't matter. That remaining member is always cool, calm, and collected, and they find a way to box out of it. And with that round there, that's exactly what they had. It seemed that TSM just did not want to stack together. They really didn't have any post information after those initial contacts with Team Empire, and that's what really punished them, because Shepard was allowed to just rotate through downstairs, really wherever he wanted to go, and they didn't cut him off. Instead, they spread out the offense, and that's not what you want to do. You want to pick your point of contact, and you want to move as a unit. When you spread, it makes it a lot easier to win those 1v1s, and especially with the likes of Shepard with an SMG-11, that gun's insane. You do not want to give him those ones.
Well, we are in a pause right now, ladies and gentlemen, in case you weren't able to catch that. You can see like Karzekin looking like he's having a good time here to start out the matchup, and why shouldn't it? A 2-0 lead over your opponents on defense here for Kafe on their own map pick. Certainly a confident start as well. They've got Clubhouse coming up after this one, so no reason why they shouldn't be feeling confident. Meanwhile, we've got Rogue and Team Secret still fighting it out on our Bravo stream. They just got through, and a nice clutch from Rogue, from Vertical specifically at that, to start putting them into their matchup versus Team Secret, which currently sits at 2-1 in the favor of Team Secret, if you're wanting to check that one out.
Yeah, once again, make sure you guys are using all those links. Use a double tab, use something. There's so much Rainbow Six Siege going on today, tomorrow, the next day, over the weekend. It's Major Week, baby. You got to be excited about it.
Lots of Siege to watch over the next 7 days, folks. Well, except for Thursday. But
we won't talk about that day.
We won't talk about that one. That's rehearsal day.
We need to be able to breathe. That's what Thursday's for. That's breathe day for the casters, so we don't have to talk. All right, well, jumping into round 3 now. We'll be going downstairs to the kitchen, my favorite place. It's where all the food's made, obviously.
Okay.
So, Team Empire now looking for 3 rounds, and once again, if they're able to get this 3rd round, you just start up once again on your rotations. That will open up the top floor. They start back up top, then go to middle, and possibly bottom once again if they're able to get the perfect defensive side. Otherwise, TSM will be staring down the barrel of something very, very dangerous on their own map pick, which is starting off 0 to 6. And I don't think that's how they really wanted this one to start. Again, I really feel like TSM just needs to play closer together in those after those initial contact points, because as of right now, it seems like Team Empire is more or less just laid back, allowing them to really tangle with their defensive players that are roaming, more like Joystick, and he's been able to get a lot of picks so far. If they continue to allow this to happen, I don't see TSM making it out of this alive.
Scyther was able to successfully grab a drone in the setup phase here, so he's going to have himself a lot more aggressive capabilities. They could put that drone in quite a few different places, actually. Right now it's on the 3rd floor, but if they wanted to swing it around back over, say, to the 1st floor, they could have, a camera right on Bakery Doorway, or another pivotal entry point here that I'm sure TSM is going to want to use. And as a result of that, that means Team Empire has a lot of control over TSM until that's dealt with.
TSM focusing their sights on the mid floor, and why wouldn't you? You have Achieved on Buck as well as you have Bolo on the Zofia. We've been seeing him more in a supportive flex role recently instead of a extremely aggressive role. That's really what we've seen Merc and Achieved in, but it seems like Bolo is trying to sit more at the forefront with the Zofia instead of going with what we've seen him play before with that Habana or Capitao or things along those lines. But TSM worried more about the drone game now, trying to find Joystick, but they do have Dan on Vigil. We've seen him play this before, and he's done a bang-up job, especially at Milan. But Joystick going to destroy a drone and immediately rotates, does not want TSM to have any active information.
Yeah, and that should be a good amount of the drones from TSM gone at this point. I would say at least half of them now gone, if not more than that. So for late round here, depending on how much droning they've already been able to do downstairs, they could be going in a little bit blind here, which is always such a dangerous thing for a team on attack to do. It looks like they still have a few more at least, but they need to keep these alive here in order to get intel. But it's a good early find here. They're able to isolate out Dan on the Vigil as well and strike first to bring it down to a 5v4.
I like TSM's take here. They're isolating staircases and making it to where it's extremely hard for Team Empire to rotate. Dan trying to rotate up new stairs, ends up getting punished by Bio over on the door. Nitro Cell rings off, but it's not going to make any contact. Bio did take a little bit of damage, but nothing fatal just yet. Only a minute left. It appears that Bio might be waiting for a Claymore. He does not have one. He's already set his down, and this is where Achieve starts playing Wrecking Crew, as he will be able to open up all of the train museum flooring. But again, these angles work both ways. You see Karzeka trying to claim a life from Prep.
So a lot of reconstruction being done at the moment by Achieve in order to see down into that kitchen and hopefully isolate a few players out. But as you can see from the silhouettes, Empire doesn't really have a whole lot of presence. Ooh, that could have been dangerous. Almost the nade getting caught there on the bars. It does make it down, but as you can tell, without any silhouettes down there, it's not really going to mark any impact, unfortunately.
Never throw leaning, kids. Never throw while you're leaning. It messes up the trajectory, and a lot of the times you will bounce something off and almost die. Pojo's going to actually start planning as the Nitro Cell goes off. Where is Pojo planning? Merc's going to find a kill as well. They recognize out now where that is going off. Toxic Babe out as he's going to have to crawl across the floor, but Pojo's not going to take any damage from those Toxic Babes. Next one's going to hit the top of the door. Shepard destroys it, and it seems like TSM might be finding their first round.
Yeah, TSM really just kind of sneaking this one in as well. Pojo Man is walking into Prep Kitchen. It didn't seem like Empire were able to catch it. I don't know if they were too focused on dealing with the buck upstairs or something else went wrong, but with Bolo picking up the next kill on Shepard, it's isolated out. Karzeka surrounded in a 1v4. He's got less than half the defuse time left. Yes, he will be able to get the easy kill against Merc because he was pre-aimed for it. Pojo Man quickly trades, and there you have it. TSM onto the board after the initial two went to Empire.
Very good post plant by TSM, and you really have to wonder how they got that diffuser off with all the information that they had presented in their operator pickups. I mean, you have the Vigil. You have the Mozzie, you have the Valkyrie, and yet you still get punished that easily just by a man jumping over into the actual kitchen. It wasn't prep, it was the actual kitchen. Usually you have someone playing inside a freezer, but they really didn't have that opportunity, especially with the pressure coming from upstairs by the likes of Achieve. They had to actually vacate that area, so very smart play by Pojo to attack the kitchen. Had two of his members with him downstairs to be able to hold those crossfires to get that diffuser down. Just a very heads-up play by TSM to get their first round.
Well, that's how it starts for TSM. Now it's time to see if they can build it. We're going back up to Bar and Cocktail Lounge. Probably one of the most one-sided rounds we've seen all game, though. And it went very heavily into the favor of Empire. There was a few very easily correctable mistakes just with the strategy TSM were employing on this attack, though. So I would expect a much more improved attack this time from TSM. But let's see if they have indeed learned their lesson from trying to kind of just take a fragging role in this one, trying to knock out players from Empire in just the cross-angle duel that we have between Cigar and the very back of the bar itself. Or if they are going to fall into that same mistake again and allow for Empire to pick up potentially another flawless round against them.
Kafe especially, you have to watch for those Nitro Cells, man. A lot of Nitro Cell play happens on this map with the amount of verticality and soft destruction Kafe now has after the update. And we saw that come out the last round. TSM did end up winning it, but again, you have to worry about that. Whenever you're on a soft floor, Pulse can ruin your entire day on this map. There's so many things that explosives can do, specifically on Kafe, that isn't as effective on other maps. But it seems like TSM will be running straight to the roof this time. This is the site where Team Empire picked up their very first round that was perfect. So hopefully TSM can at least get a body this time.
See if that is indeed going to be the case. Same openings being popped up by Bolo here, just to give them control over the red stairs hatch as well, give them the opportunity to jump into Cigar very quickly and work control from there. Still 2 minutes remaining, so we shouldn't really need to see anything hyper-aggressive just yet for TSM. Still a lot of posturing. The site's generally got a pretty straightforward pattern to its attack, and there's usually not a whole lot of room for variance on it. So things will generally play out the same way. And that means that TSM are going to have a lot of excess time to play with. How they use that, though, is still yet to be seen. There you go. You can see Merc already working his way into Christmas, getting some easy control there. They opened up the sidewall to disallow for any players to sneak up on them from the inside of the bar itself. And in a moment here, they'll probably work to open up the freezer wall.
The issue for TSM here is that they're playing right into the hand that Team Empire is dealing, and that is, hey, please push us, Christmas. If you don't push us anywhere else, then this is going to be pretty easy. They have a crossfire set up from New Balcony, the one that's sitting over by the window. Then you have New Drop that's across. So
Joystick, I think, at White Stairs, too. Yep,
yeah, Joystick's on White Stairs. That's what I'm saying. They need to try and pressure the mid floor and get rid of Scyther and then pressure this back stairs. Otherwise, all this is just a contested gunfight over and over again with Team Empire, especially in the likes of Karzeki, as that main crossfire looking over into Freezer. And then you have Dan that's sitting inside of Bathroom. Frag grenade to go out. I don't think it's going to pick the man up. No, he's going to rotate over towards bench hard, and he's going to sit right next to the door, plays his time instead, as it looks like a Chief wants to get aggressive here, but you have to worry about that crossfire once again.
Yeah, and unfortunately, without the Twitch, oh, that's actually Joystick finally getting a little bit over-aggressive. Biologic able to catch it. Merc gets a second kill as well. They do lose Bolo in the process to Karzeka from well across the way, but at the moment, TSM winning the trade, which is exactly what they needed. The problem is, though, the defensive setup here from the guys on Empire is still strong, but Merc, again, bringing his team back into the fold here with some kills that were desperately needed. Now another one found by Merc as he gets 3 on the round, and Biologic cleans it up. TSM doing the opening cut fragging duel here for the 3rd floor, and as a result of that, they'll pick up the tying point at 2-2.
Very smart rotate by Bio there. I don't know if that was called by IGL or what exactly happened, but that's exactly what they needed to get rid of. That white staircase is the linchpin of this site. It holds down the entire hallway, and it makes it to where it's a lot harder to put pressure on Dan. You have to try and force yourself through that freezer, and a lot of the times they're going to have someone with an ACOG looking through that broken hole into there. So, with that being said, Joystick falls, Dan to immediately follow TSM with the round after a smart adjustment.
Not going to see the guys on Empire skip a beat, though. Instead of going right back to it, they'll continue on with their site rotation and head downstairs into Reading Room and Fireplace. So once again, they'll reattempt this site, but we are now tied. TSM has figured out how to start countering out Empire. They're starting to pick apart these defensive setups. Unfortunately, they've only got 2 rounds left where they can utilize those strategies before they switch sides, but it's enough, at least for now, to keep them on even footing with their Russian opponents.
And I think the main thing that a lot of people are going to look to, especially people that don't watch the NA region, is that, you know, a lot of people don't think TSM is up to snuff with Team Empire. TSM really hasn't had that testing match. That fight or flight has not kicked in for them just yet. They were at Valencia and showed pretty well there. But again, you didn't have some of the best teams in the world playing at that LAN. Now, they're playing up against one of arguably the best teams in the world in the likes of Team Empire. And as of right now, they're stacking up pretty well. Smart adjustments, but we haven't seen Team Empire been pushed to the limit just yet. I'm going to be very interested to see if this does go the full distance and on map 3 exactly what will happen. Because, again, with the likes of these new-blooded players and the likes of Merc, I mean, Merc has not been on a Pro League team for that long. He just recently got picked up by TSM when this roster was formed originally. So, I'll have to see if he can continue on this reign, because as of right now, it seems like it's just another day in the office for him.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Well, once again, a slow start here for the guys on TSM. Not trying to get too much control just yet, as they know that there's probably some decent roaming presence around specifically the 3rd floor and roaming into the 2nd floor as well. So they need to be very careful about their entry point here to make sure they don't get tripped up, as of course, as we know, Empire loves to play that aggressive game and challenge their opponents at the first step.
They've done a very good job of passive play so far, though. Usually it's Joystick that's the one that's overly aggressive whenever he smells literally anything. If he gets a hint of it, it's over, and he's going to try and get aggressive. But instead, Joystick has been biding his time on White Stairs. It's worked out pretty well for them, all except for that last round where he got a little aggressive on Bio on the window, trying to contest that upside-down rappel. But Joystick's going to try and continue his hold here on White Stairs. They have went Reading Room this time around.
I think that is like a good way to play against the guys from TSM, because TSM love to take those open fights if you give it to them. And by denying that and forcing them to basically do that and just go for wide open peeks, it allows, as you were saying in the last round, it plays TSM right in Empire's hands. Another peek from Joystick. Certainly takes the man a moment, but he gets the second kill against Bio, bringing this down to what? Another one! He finds Achieved as well down the White Hall. And what is happening to TSM? They're falling apart to a single man from Empire right now.
Have you not learned of this man's tale? You don't give him ones, folks. You don't give it to him. It doesn't matter how many bullets are in the mag. Joystick will find a way, and he'll make it happen. That's what's going to come of Merc, Achieved, and Bio. All fall to the likes of Joystick. A quick shot, but it'll be Bolo to tack on instead.
This could start to turn around a little bit here. Joystick should probably go down in a moment as well because he's just got a sliver of HP left, and he knows it too. He is long gone. Bails away from the White Stairs as his job is well done and dusted at this point. And with the loss of his teammate, they can't afford to take an additional loss as that will reignite the possibility for a win on their opponents.
I believe we're going to have Joystick actually rotating up red here to try and continue to put a pin in this round, and they're both going to immediately vacate the area. Gets aggressive on side. It's Bolo to start things off once again. A quick shot, but they're both going to be down. Bolo can still pick himself up, but it doesn't matter. Shepard immediately identifying out that he has down. Like so, Bolo quickly picking up that kill. That'll execute both of them since they were both downed. That's going to put a pin in that round. Again, just shown up by what Joystick can truly do. And the man is put inside of a box on White Stairs and just continues to take those ones, downing every single member. Doesn't matter if it's an ACOG, doesn't matter if it's a hollow site. This man definitely has the aim and the means to get it done.
All right, well, the last round of the defense and attack for each of these teams now. And we're going to see Empire take it back down to the kitchen one final time. As TSM will look to try and tie it up now, 3-3.
I'm kind of at a loss for words on how they're handling Joystick on White Stairs. He does have an ADS there, so obviously you can't immediately nade him, as they usually have Achieved on those nade players. Buck, Sledge, things along those lines that bring those frag grenades. Those are usually his routine too that he plays. But they haven't tried to nade out Joystick just yet because of that ADS. But you are bringing a Thatcher. I would say rotate that Thatcher over towards Christmas instead. Have somebody play that window or just the outside balcony area. Have that EMP go down on the top of White Stairs. Get rid of that ADS and then try and frag out the man on the staircase, because I don't think you want to try and take a gunfight with Joystick. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a zoomed sight. All he needs is to know where you are. That pre-fire ripping apart most of the members of TSM.
Yeah, they need someone to flush him out, and as you were mentioning, they just haven't really found that capability yet, which has led to them taking... It's not even like conjoined pushes either, it's just, like you said, it's a lot of ones.
You don't want to give ones.
That's not to him anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people you don't want to give ones to at this tournament. I think there's one on every single team that you're just like, I'd rather not peek, you know? Much rather lean on utility and just having a frag grenade explode.
And Joystick is certainly one of the strongest ones out of that. You don't want to be giving it to. Which unfortunately, that's how TSM fell into in the last round there. And it killed their chances for the most part of closing out the round. Still some hope though for them to at least tie it up and give them a relatively good half at 3-3. They need to attack and successfully get access to this kitchen once again.
There you go.
Just like the last time they played against it, though, they are going to be able to catch Joystick this time, knock him out, and once more give him a little bit of a 5v4 advantage at the beginning of the round.
It seems like if Joystick falls initially for Team Empire, it's a TSM round, but if he's able to stay alive, then TSM just has a very, very bad time so far here on Kafe. This is going to be the last round of the offensive side for TSM. Then we switch sides. Team Empire will be over on offense. TSM will be on defense. I can definitely tell you that Team Empire has been scrimming this map. Again, only a 7-map pool. So you have to be able to play every single one of these maps because somebody is going to be taking you to them throughout this tournament. Team Empire so far definitely seems proficient on this map. Merc marking out the phone so that Bio can rotate and get those cameras, but Bio's all the way down inside of reading.
So we've got Biologic. He's going to work his way back upstairs probably in a sec just to grab the cameras real quick. He doesn't give the team a massive amount of intel, but they might get lucky with a spot or two here if they can find anything from it. And off of this one, the rest of the team still trying to get into position. You can see, obviously, Achieved doing a little bit of reconstruction. Now that they've moved away from the buck play that they had earlier, starting to isolate out these players inside of Kitchen if they can find any. But it didn't really seem like Empire was caught by this too much. The last time they played on Kitchen, they were pretty good at avoiding this, and even starting to fire back through some of these punch holes, too. So they're being careful of that. Karzeka got to get flushed out by a Twitch drone. He's forced into the next room. This will start to open up a little bit more execute capability for TSM.
I like Team Empire's style so far on their defense. If they do lose that initial roamer, then they all just rotate back to site and go, okay, you still have to clear out the rest of the map. You still have to try and get some pressure on site, and you're going to be on crunched time. The defense is always in favor of time, especially when it gets under that minute mark. The more you can delay, the better, and that's exactly what Team Empire is trying to bring to the table. And so far, it's been working out. You really have to be worried for TSM, though, with Dan still on the table with those Vigil effects working their magic. Pojo, though, to start things off here in the post-minute.
So, Pojo with another pick here. Scyther trying to get aggressive to find something. Dan does the same thing. More than anything, looking to avoid what happened in the last round, where TSM were able to kind of brute force their way in and get an early plan off. Bolo, though, will quickly punish Dan for attempting to stop that. And it brings the Empire roster down to just a 2v4 now. But only 15 seconds left. We need to start seeing TSM get into position to plant, and they've done just that. Scyther's rotate up on top is not going to give him an angle in order to knock out the planter. He's got safe harbor in that back corner. So the plant goes down, and now it all comes into the post plant. Can the members of Empire pull off this 2v4, somehow reaffirm their position on the site? As if not, it's going to be a tie game. TSM at 3-3 achieved. Takes the first duel against Shepard. Not able to find much, but he does get wrapped on by Scyther a second later.
Oh, as it seems to all fall apart now. A double for Scyther as he continues to tack on. Has to go for the defuse. It's going to be held down by Shepard. They're going to have to try and get aggressive through this door. It's a fake, though. Quick shots. Does Shepard find one? Shepard with a quick peek. Doesn't have too much time, and Bio going to bide his time as well. As Bio's trying to rotate, he's going to have to rotate back through. Shepard's going to stick it. Has to act quickly. Will he hop off? He will, but Bio to find it. TSM ties it up on their offensive side.
So close, and once again, another amazing attempt at a clutch here from the guys from Empire, but falling just short. TSM take it with their strong kitchen attack. Like we were saying before, that ties us up now at 3-3 for halftime. The teams will switch sides, and now it's going to be TSM on the defense, Empire on the attack.
It seems like TSM has all predictated exactly where they want to plant on that site. Again, kitchen has been completely redone for Kafe, so it seems that TSM's default plant is right there behind the kitchen counter. They end up clearing out Freezer from those holes up above that they were using Sludge for, and I actually like Sludge a little bit more here because it's a lot quieter instead of using that skeleton key where it's like, oh, hello, I am here, I am present.
I am a shotgun.
Yeah, I have a shotgun, exactly. So, with that being said, we are going to be flipping sides now. Team Empire will be on offense, TSM will be on defense. And what do you know, Blue? We're starting on bar to start things off all the way upstairs. For Team Empire, that defensive side was pretty good, I would say, especially with the rounds that they won. It really was in the favor of Team Empire. There was no fight back from TSM. But for TSM's round, things kind of started getting close to the chest in those post runs. There was no round where you're like, okay, obviously TSM wins this. There was a lot of fight back from Team Empire, leaning on the backbone of their roster, which is going to be your anchor players, most of the time working out for them, but especially in that last round, just could not find that one that they needed to end up getting that diffuser done.
Big question for me now that we move into TSM's defense is how actively are they going to try and play their own defensive setup here? And also a big question mark right now that's showing up for the TSM roster. Viral's achieved right now, pulling off a donut. 0-4-6.
4 assists, man. That's when you know you're getting into the gunfights you want. You just can't finish the fight. You can't finish the fight, and it seems that Achieved hasn't been able to find it just yet. He is going to be on the Valkyrie for this round, so he'll be able to provide some intelligence, as well as Bolo is going to be... Can we just call him Alda Man at this point? Because that Alda is truly insane. He's going to be on the Maestro. Alda, 81 bullets. You guys know the meme, but
Bio on the M80 as well, or M870.
Yeah, that's definitely something, isn't it?
Oh no.
Oh, he's going to hop outside and then get...
He got one too. Okay. He got Dan.
That's a big pick as well. That's going to be the Thatcher. They're not going to be able to get any of these open. Bio more than likely already has those bandits down as well, so they're going to have to rotate underneath. We have Merc doing his best joystick impression, and who else would you pick? You talked about him earlier. Merc's aim is truly insane. You give him the Jaeger, let him use that 416C, and he will definitely show you some crazy stuff.
So, I was wondering how aggressive we would see TSM play on their defense. I don't know if I was expecting this aggressive. So far, this has worked out great for them. A 2-for-1 exchange at the beginning of the round. You can see Karzeka is still afraid to go into the window because we have the active hold on the inside of Christmas. Now, they're going to pop open the red stair, or the red stairs hatch leading into Christmas. This will probably, never mind. This will probably start to first back Merc, but apparently not. He runs out a window. What?
Oh!
How is he being stopped? Picks up another kill. Still going, by the way. Still alive at this point as he works his way back into garage. Shepard was only able to trade onto another player, which is not even part of this fight. Now we'll look for a few more, but no, Bolo, the Elder Man himself, shuts it down from the other side of the site, and TSM absolutely thrashed their way for their opening defensive round.
And that is a pinnacle of TSM. Merc, 3 kills, does it all, and guess what, guys? It's a GN in chat from Merc. You guys didn't get to see it, but it was there. I thought we were going to get a Pojo Man lol for a second.
You're on NA turf now.
You're on NA turf now, boy. This is where toxicity shows its head. But no, it's all in good fun. It's all in good competition. And trust me, we love to see it. Get Empire riled up. That's what they're really trying to do. Break that mental fortitude, which, again, to get under Team Empire skin is going to take quite a bit.
Pretty much the direct opposite of what we saw from Empire when they played onto this site, though. I mean, and to be fair, Empire also dominated their opening round, too. Flawless, in fact. Didn't even have that trade happen, but they played it much more controlled, much more weighted, and directly countered out the strat for TSM, whereas TSM took it right to Empire's face, and for the most part, won a lot of 1v1s at the end of the day, won a lot of relatively risky fights, and as a result of that, we're given a massive advantage to shut out the round.
Well, again, you do not expect an M870 to hop out a window and get aggressive on your rappel, but that shotgun's the most powerful in the game. So, you hop out the window, quick shot to the man rappelling to your left. Yeah, you're going to lose the gunfight to the guy rappelling, but you killed Thatcher. That's a massive pick. Those Valkyrie cameras helping out a lot outside, being able to identify the rappel. Bio coming up huge, but Bio was definitely not the one that we're going to be talking about that last round. It's going to be Merc and how he was able to get aggressive onto Christmas, and that really was off the back of Biologic's efforts. They didn't have the crossfire that they needed. All they had were the ones on the windows, which allowed Merc to hop from the window that he's currently spawn killing from. But again, aggressive plays are not meant to be, dumb. They're calculated. That's exactly what Merc is bringing to the table right now. Just because it is aggressive does not mean that it's going to be something wrong. This also a fantastic angle that's going to be held by Merc. You can actually see the window from a long angle, but if you rappel to that initial floor where you see all the air vent units, he can actually shoot them as they're rappelling up, and it makes it very, very difficult. Buck's going to get aggressive on the window. Seth might allocate for a grenade, but instead he's going to hop into the minibar, and Merc will vacate the area.
We've got two more players on the second floor as well, looking to mess around with these guys. Achieve specifically right by the window on the Valkyrie right now, looking to try something on the hop out towards that balcony potentially too. Actually, never mind. Looking at this now, it's red stairs, in fact. Ready to go with the nitro cell when someone hops in.
Be quite dangerous and definitely a way to say hello. Nitro cell there to start things off. But slow tidings right now for Team Empires. They're trying to find any scrap of information. Everything they found so far has just been Merc inside of Christmas, and all he did was show face and immediately vacate the area. We will finally have someone inside. It's going to be Karzeka to start things off with the Zofia.
Christmas control is going to be pretty easily taken, this time by the guys from Empire, since we have moved down a level. They don't need to immediately deny that presence, but they still want to fight for it, as that top-down control is still very important for the defensive setup due to the amount of presence it will give the attackers. Bolo, though, able to strike back, this time on the dock instead of the Maestro, due to the fact that he needs to remain slightly more mobile than before. So he goes on to him. Allows for him to find the early pick onto the Buck, which is actually going to destroy quite a bit of that soft destruction potential. They're going to have to rely on players like Zofia now in order to turn it back. Speaking of turning it back, though, we see both Joystick and Dan find picks against Biologic, along with Pojo Man knocking out the smoke in the early round and giving the Team Empire roster quite a bit more time to attack. Joystick with another surgical pick here against Merc.
Yeah, rotates up White Stairs, able to find Merc as he was looking down White Hall instead. Dan actually getting taken down by Achieve. Bolo needs to be able to rotate back downstairs safely. It's only Achieved on site right now as they're trying to get some information on Bolo. They will find him on the new balcony as Karzeka is going to get aggressive. Bolo immediately vacates the area, though, rotating through Reading to continue to try and play out his life. They do have angles to try and find him, but nothing for the Reading room. So that will grant him safe harbor for now, as he's going to continue to try and rock things out with this ACOG.
So, guys from Empire still looking for entry angles here, even though it's only a two-man setup left alive downstairs. They don't want to go into it blind. They don't really have time to drone it necessarily either. This is going to start to become a little bit of an issue here now for Empire, is the lack of time needed in order to execute properly. Flash goes into the dining room. They'll hop in, take control of the train yard. They move their way forward. A nice opening pick here from Shepard to find Achieve. Now all the pressure goes to Bolo himself. He'll take the duel against his opponent from the other side here, but ultimately will fall to Joystick, finally working his way down those White Stairs and finishing off the round for Empire. Will remain tied at 4-4.
Again, cool, calm, and collected is Team Empire in these instances. Even when it gets down to that 3v2, it isn't an initial take. They gain some information. They try and figure out what these remaining members are. Masking their drop with that stun with a thermite, able to get downstairs, apply some pressure, force Achieved into a really bad spot. They were trying to pinch him from the back of pillars as well as the man had jumped off the balcony immediately when that gunfight started from train to pillars onto the Valkyrie, but Achieved loses out that gunfight, and he really hasn't found too much just yet. He finally found his first kill onto Dan outside, but it really didn't matter at the end of the day. So we're still tied here on Kafe, and it seems like we're definitely in for a treat here in the early morning.
Yeah. Just in case you guys are wondering about what's going on back on our Bravo stream, by the way, we just managed to see, I believe it was Team Secret, pick up the most recent round. So they are actually at the same, well, spoiler alert, they are actually at the same exact scoreline that this match is at right now. They are also tied 4-4 in their match on Clubhouse. And that, once again, is Rogue going up against Team Secret over on our Bravo stream.
Well, what do you know? We have Joystick top fragging Team Empire. Wouldn't you? Would you not believe it?
That's, yeah.
Crazy. Never would have guessed it.
Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprises here. Well, TSM now going to be going back to the mid floor here, but instead they're going to be going to reading/dining, which is a newer site here on Kafe. Works out pretty well, especially with the upstairs. This upstairs is definitely a pinnacle of all of these mid-floor sites. You want to be able to hold down the verticality, otherwise you're immediately going to get punished. Team Empire bringing plenty of soft destruction to be able to handle that, but what we saw before was the Merc and Bolo show upstairs, and it worked out pretty well for the most part until Team Empire was able to get their footing on that mid-floor. Eventually, Joystick rotates up White Stairs, puts a nail in the coffin of Merc, and really spells disaster for the rest of the round for TSM. They really have to be worried about that route, especially that they're holding the mid floor, especially with this site in particular. If you allow that rotation up White, there's something going wrong with your setup. You should have information, or at least have somebody with eyes on that White staircase.
TSM also with some quick adjustments here too. They realized the aggression might have been overplayed by a slight amount going into the second round there. Obviously we saw a lot of picks specifically coming in, if I remember correctly, from Shepard back on the gridlock in the last round, or Joystick it might have been as well. So as a result of that, they've now pulled back the aggression slightly. They're not trying to directly peek the opening windows or anything like that. They are still trying to contest some pretty early angles, however, against Empire's executes. They definitely still want those early kills. They're just not being as proactive in pursuing them as they were in the first two rounds.
Yeah, they do still have quite a few people in Rome or just trying to contest Team Empire even gaining access to the building. They do have Christmas control right now, but they're taking things slow and steady, getting a drone in relatively every square inch of this upstairs. We do still have one body remaining upstairs. I believe it's in bathroom. Yes, it's going to be Merc inside of the upstairs bathroom. He does have support from the likes of Bio on White Stairs, who has rotated recently. Gets aggressive. Stun grenades coming through now. They do have one of those pests on the door as well, so no drone's going to be able to come through, but Merc will be able to rotate safely. Bolo is still playing new balcony.
So starting to adjust. Start to play a little bit more passive here at very minimum. Give them a feign that there might still be this aggressive setup somewhere upstairs. And you can tell, I mean, Empire's very careful with how they're proceeding here. They're still very worried about someone trying to run out against them or try some things. You can see right now, a lot of active droning presence having to be coming in from Empire in order to avert those fears, on top of things like the gridlock setups to try and restrict players like Bolo here on the back balcony. It'll force them into the open, right into Scyther's waiting arms, who will finally get the first kill of the round with just under a minute left. Merc, though, a nice close angle to trade this back. He's got some problems, though, waiting behind the piano. He fails to account for it. Shepard trades him right back out, and that opens up a downstairs push here for at least some of the members of Empire. Achieve, though, stealing away another one as he finds Joystick. Oh, and Scyther sent flying by a Nitro Cell from Biologic.
Always have to worry about those explosives from underneath. 27 seconds left, and Team Empire trying to pick up the pieces. Only Karzeka and Shepard as they're still trying to establish vertical angles. Clears out the laundry room. Nothing to be had just yet. They have to try and find some presence on site, but Pojo Man's still alive. All those toxic babes are still online. Still plenty of utility to worry about as the Chief's going to continue to try and tack on. It'll be Shepard to claim his life, though. Only 6 seconds remain as the toxic babe will ring true. They have to rotate all the way around. They're not going to have enough time. And on that note, it will be TSM once again taking the lead.
2 more rounds away now from closing out the opening map, and their own map pick here starting to look a lot more confident on the defense. And on top of that, a lot more of their strategies for the defense here tend to be panning out much better for them.
I will say this. Don't get as antsy on defense. You saw Bolo overpeaking just a little bit. Slow it down. Team Empire, especially on those rounds where you have them on the ropes, are wasting a lot of time with drone game and everything else. Bio's doing his job. He got quite a few drones on that last round, as well as they were destroying quite a few. So that economy for their drones was just absolutely destroyed. They had nothing to try and gain information. When you give them one of those easy gunfights, especially when they know you've been peeking that new balcony quite a bit, you end up losing that pressure that you had on bar, and then you're going to have somebody try and pick it up with a gun that does not have an ACOG, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Again, we've seen Merc do it plenty in the past with those long-distance gunfights with a hollow sight or a 1X sight, but again, it makes it a little bit easier when you do have that MP5 with the ACOG, especially with someone that has such good aim like Bolo. But said he falls. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm more or less being nitpicky, but that's okay.
So Biologic, by the way, on TSM has been cleaning up shop this game, especially since they've swapped over to the defensive side. We've seen a lot more players start to kick it up as well. It's increased his own confidence, but he himself just crossing over the 10 frag mark recently, leading the charge by quite a bit.
He's been a very big talking point as for TSM as well, because during the online phases, Bio hasn't been the most flashy player. You know, he's been more of the, okay, we got to grind this out. I can get some impact frags, but nothing really else has been coming from this man.
I think he's a really consistent player, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. He's consistent, but he's not the person that you lean on to go, okay, you're going to be the one that gets every single frag. As of right now, it seems like Bio definitely has it on Kafe. Again, it's a best of 3. They don't just win one map and they're done. We're to the major, Blue. We're to the major. Everything that you guys are seeing today is going to be a best of 3. So, with that being said, we're going to jump straight into round 10. Team Empire has not been able to gain free access to the upstairs so far. I'm going to say it's going to continue here, as we're more than likely going to see Merc trying to get aggressive.
Despite this, of course, we've got Karzeka with the window getting open. He's trying to check all the extremities of it. They're sick. Like I said before, they're still worried about that aggressive roaming presence from TSM right at the window. That was a problem for them in the opening round here. It's since been pulled back quite a bit because Empire countered it out pretty much immediately in round 2 of this half. But even so, they're still keeping some aggressive presence, as you can see at the door there leading into Christmas. They're going to try to see if they can get some early picks, just on slightly less aggressive angles than they'd been using the last time this site was played, where they were pretty much directly inside of Christmas, trying to contest them from the second they leaked in the window.
You have Christmas access right now, but you really have to worry about that white hall. We've seen how much contention that has had throughout the map. And if you guys are, again, newer to Rainbow Six Siege or the competitive scene, or just really haven't seen Kafe played just yet, this is more or less the crux of this entire map. It's that white staircase as well as that white hallway. For gaining access to the upstairs, you always have to worry about it. Merc going to continue to try and bide his time. As quick peek here from Merc as well. From inside, very close. As he continues to try and contest the drop from Skylight. But it's going to be Shepard to actually fall initially. He has been downed and quickly picked up by Achieved with the Nitro Cell. That's going to be a massive pick. They did not recognize out that mid floor. And once again, you have to worry about this. Even at this level, you see people not worrying about that mid floor, and it gets them punished.
So another player down, however, that's their hard breach as well, which is going to be really bad news here if they weren't able to get open the fridge wall that they needed in order to successfully push themselves into the site. Scyther, he's going to be able to find one of these Valkyrie cams, but now this is the problem. They don't have an easy path into the freezes. They have to walk out. There's the hole in the floor as well, which allows for Achieve to run right back, start finding more picks. Joystick will make a wraparound. Dan also catches Biologic too, but Merc and Pojo Man trade those frags right back, and it's now all on Joystick. They should be able to hear this barbed wire getting popped. You can see Pojo Man throwing out smoke grenades to stop him from making the push. Meanwhile, the rest of TSM can set up at the other side of Christmas and the White Hall in order to stop any chance of this. Now, the third smoke grenade does get countered, but regardless, he'll run into the well-established setup at this point from TSM. An easy closeout for them as they put themselves on map point now.
Again, if you thought TSM was going to come in here and lay down, you were sorely mistaken. There was not a lot of their series that were broadcasted at Valencia. Blue wasn't even there. I was the only one out of this pair that was there. TSM is no slouch. They are a very scary team on LAN, especially with the likes of Pojo coming into the roster, adding some more veteranism to it. It's truly incredible. They've I would say, definitely grown inside of their play style. They've put Bolo on a role that I feel like he's more comfortable. He gets to take a lot more gunfights. He isn't still learning, okay, this is how comp is played at a high tier level. They've allowed him to come into his own, especially with the likes of the amount of ACOGs he's been playing. Bolo's been on an ACOG almost every single operator. Actually, he has. He's been playing Zofia as well as Maestro, and now he's going to be, actually he's going to be on Maestro right now, as well as Doc. So those have been his 3 main operators that we've seen him play so far. And he's definitely been showing exactly what he can achieve. Speaking of achieve though, finally found some kills, 4, 4, and 10 now, and the 10 really doesn't matter. What matters is those impact frags, especially on that last round. He came up massive for his team. Again, guys, it does not matter how many kills you get, it just matters that the kills that you do get are important.
He's playing an aggressive role anyway at the moment, so you kind of expect it to be a little bit more hit or miss with his kills, especially from the defensive side now. With the Valkyrie utility being added into it, and a lot of these cameras actually going relatively undiscovered until late round. We saw one that was on the inside of the bar itself that didn't end up getting caught, and may have led to quite a bit of slowdown on Empire's part. things like that as well are also added impact from this player that obviously you're not going to see on something like a scoreboard. But here we go, folks, into what could be the very final round of this opening map. Mind you, once again, it is a best-of-3 series, so it won't end right here. But it's time to see now if TSM can close it out here and take a 1-0 lead.
Just an update from our Bravo stream. Once again, if you guys want to be watching that, it's Team Secret versus Rogue right now. Team Secret in the lead 6-4 on Clubhouse as we have the exact same scoreline over.
Are we watching the same game?
Yeah, apparently a mirror match that's going on right now, but it is going to be Team Secret in the lead. Again, a lot of people, I guess, did not watch the Vegas Minor Blue. They're not aware of Farrell and what he can do. Truly incredible player. But right now, 6-4 over there, and once again, Rogue faltering right now to the likes of Team Secret. But seems like the Americans will be picking things up over on our side of things, where TSM is currently in the lead up against the Russian machine and might have this first round.
Oh, what?
Where was that Nitro Cell? What in the hell was that? That was... Okay, all right, well...
That was like 800 IQ with that one right there.
Immediate rotation as well by the likes of Murky is going to be playing the Vigil this time around, recognizing how the Team Empire has done quite a good job. Oh, he had the Nitro Cell placed over on Minibar. That is
nice. I mean, that's a crazy early
17 million IQ. Just recognized how this man will rappel through this window and get exploded.
Like, our guy just got a pre-placed Nitro Cell.
Somebody was on camera. They had a Valkyrie camera inside of that room, and he blew it up right as he got the information that someone swung in. So amazing play by TSM to set that up, recognizing now that someone is more than likely going to swing from Minibar. Because again, Bennett Chief doesn't have that Nitro Cell on his person, so it makes it a lot harder to try and blow anybody else up. If no one swings through that window, then that's a lost cause. So, high risk, high reward.
Yep. Unfortunately, in this case, the trade does happen a second later due to the timing of it. Joystick ends up running into the window, and at that point in time, Chief pretty much not ready to take another fight, so he ends up going down to it. We're still in an even battle as a result of that. And as you can see, we've already got Empire with full control over the train museum, and by that, an extension into the mining room as well, giving them quite a bit of top-to-floor play. It'll clear out quite a bit of the kitchen and start to open up execute possibility. There's that over-aggressive tendency, though, where it's going to start to bite back against TSM's favor. Merc gets caught lurking there by Dan, and now the advantage shifts into the Russians' court.
I feel like especially following into this next round that the roam game by TSM might be a little bit better on these post-minute times, where they're going to try and rotate just a little bit slower, recognizing now that Team Empire are not afraid to run this all the way down. A newer effect has been added to this breaching charge as well. If you're directly under them, when they explode, they kind of stun you just a little bit in a very weird fashion, but Joystick will continue to tack on for Team Empire as TSM seems to be falling apart. It's going to be Bolo to try and find some frags. He will down the man with the diffuser, but side third to find Bolo. He's going to be all lifted up to Pojo Man with that MP7, not rocking the shotgun this time on Bandit. Diffuser will get picked up, so we'll be able to recognize that one from behind the bar. Does not have the Nitro Cell to try and pick up anything. Just going to play for the cross and listen. It's going to be side with a frag grenade, but he'll pick it up with the lead of the weapon instead. Team Empire trying to bring this one back. They're one step closer to pushing this to overtime.
So besides that nice pre-placed Nitro Cell at the beginning, overall the roam game from TSM much weaker on that kitchen site. Not anywhere close to the amount of delay we had seen on previous rounds. I mean, for the most part, Empire just kind of walked right through their own little early round setup here and got full control of the train yard with still like a minute and a half left on the clock, which made the execute very easy, as they pretty much had, you know, in terms of siege anyway, unlimited time to play with in order to get down to that site.
Exactly, and I think the main thing, again, is that the roam game that's in the post is just not very good. If they have that immediate early pressure, and are able to get anything from it, then TSM can just walk through the round, basically. Especially with Christmas. I mean, they more or less use that as the teeter-totter of their rounds, where if they can get that early aggression and shut down that Christmas take, then TSM walks away with the round. That time they tried to shut it down with a pre-placed Nitro Cell, but things still fell apart. And again, I don't like to be playing the blame game, but Merc, slow things down a little bit, just a touch. You're now recognizing out that, okay, Team Empire, slow and steady wins the race for them. It's not as bad as we've seen Vitality before, where it's literally they'll attack in the last 15 seconds every single time, but they still like to bide their time, find as much information as possible, and then make the play. You're just allowing them to knock down one more chess piece before they do it.
Especially with consideration to the fact that they've already been able to force Empire to run out of time on one other round. Now, to be fair to Merc, this is a mistake he hasn't made that often. I think that's really like the only time he's truly overextended himself so far in this half, but it is a mistake that I've seen in the past from him as well, so it's something that we do need to be worried about when it comes to TSM's long-term game here. Great Valkyrie cam on the outside. Taking a look here as well. Some of the action that's been going on. back over on our other stream where we just saw, in fact, a little bit of spoiler warning, so feel free to mute the stream for the next couple seconds if you don't want to hear this, but Team Secret just managed to win map number 1 against Rogue, 7-4. So they will take the lead in that series.
I'll give you one guess who had the most kills on Team Secret.
I mean, I can see it, so.
Yeah, it's Feral.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not really much of a question.
If you guys were not aware of what Feral can do and did not watch the Vegas Minor, he's a truly incredible player. That's how they ended up getting to this tournament as well, was winning the Vegas Minor up against the Stream at the time, or LFO now, or excuse me, now Vodafone Giants. They've went through quite a transition phase in the last handful of months.
They were still a Stream at that event, weren't they?
Yes, they were. They were a Stream, and immediately after that they were LFO, and now they're Vodafone Giants.
Back to this game for just a moment here. We've got Dan starting things off. Great. Manages to find Achieved first this round. No Nitro Cell business this time. Pojo Man, though, does catch a response, and it's against Joystick as well, who's been pivotal to the entry power here for Empire on this attack. That could have some bad omens for Empire in the late round. Bolo also able to get incredibly aggressive, knocks out Scyther with a push into Christmas, and then takes out a drone for good measure, too. He's been pushed back to the balcony, but Shepard's way too late to this party. No way he's going to catch him right here.
Yeah, you gotta put some respect on that name, for the love of God, because if you peek into this wrong, the man's gonna rip your head off. Wide swing, and it's actually gonna be Karzeka to win. It's a trade! Bolo, Karzeka battling it out, but again, TSM going to come out on top. That's not a bad trade by Bolo. Merc continues to tack on. Shepard will fall. It's all up to Dan. We haven't seen too much of him from this game just yet. Merc with the one, as he will get aggressive. Merc wins it out on an aggressive peak, and it's gonna be TSM winning the first map here on Kafe.
So a great start for TSM as they do take control of their own map pick. Definitely some bumps in the road, but when it comes to their defense, a solid victory and some very, very consistent aggression, especially from players like Merc, with that one round where he overextended a little bit and potentially costed his team the late round play, but besides that, had an amazingly impactful half there and really, really put a number on to the guys from Empire and forced them to change their playstyle pretty much entirely, having to slow things down immensely from the way they started things off and really forcing them to play just incredibly slowly, allowing for TSM to continue finding these aggressive picks.
And it was truly incredible how TSM was able to adapt, as you were saying, and I really like the current roles that they have all of these members in, especially with the likes of Bolo. Again, prior to this, we've seen him in a lot more supportive roles, holding those long angles, not really being able to get too aggressive. But this time around, Bolo was showing exactly what he can do, and they were able to slow down just a little bit later. Those early rounds on their defensive half were a little bit too aggressive. They were able to pick up some rounds off of getting extremely aggressive on Christmas, but later on in the rounds, Team Empire finally found their stride up against that playstyle. TSM had to quickly shift gears to try and fix things, but they were going to be able to come out on top in the end.
Well, guys, another challenge stands before TSM, and it's going to be coming up right after this. It's Clubhouse, Empire's best map. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Raleigh Major. It's Team Empire, it's TSM. We're already through map 1 on Kafe, where we saw TSM, yes, TSM, win 7-5 up against the Russian machine. Once again, my name is Stokes, and I'm joined here by Blue. We'll be taking you guys through this initial match up here on the #1 stream.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to see how our second map plays out, as we are going to be heading into Clubhouse, which is a map most of you guys should know is pretty much uncontested territory right now when it comes to Empire's dominance on that map. But it's also a map that we see TSM liking to play on. They feel the ability to take on Empire on this matchup and feel quite confident on it. So we're going to have to see how that one pans out, as we just saw Kafe, like you were mentioning, go over to the way of TSM. A little bit of a bumpy start, at least for those guys, but on the defensive half, they took full control and were able to shut it down. And I believe going into Clubhouse, they might be able to start off on defense again, depending on the way the side selection worked out. So that could allow for them to once again thrive under those circumstances if their early round aggressive plays continue to work out, which it should, as it's Clubhouse we're going into, a map where roamers, as we've seen, can always have quite a bit of impact.
Yeah, Clubhouse is a map that's kind of difficult to roam on just because of there's only 2 staircases, easy to lock down, especially with Gridlock and Nomad in play. You still do have the hatch inside a bar that you can drop, but besides that, very hard to get downstairs and try and transition. You can always try and go through garage as well, but again, this map takes a little bit of finesse to get that roam game to work, and we've seen Team Empire do it in spades prior to this, especially with that Milan final where we saw them absolutely pick apart EG. It was just not the best showing. And again, with the likes of Team Empire on Clubhouse, this is one of the only teams where they go on the offensive side and you go, they're probably going to win their offensive side 5-1, 4-2. Clubhouse for Team Empire is almost attacker-sided. It's actually insane.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out. Another really interesting factor of this one that we talked about in the pregame, but I want to bring up once again for anyone that might have joined us throughout the course of the first map, is that the third map is Border. And that might not sound like too crazy, like, okay, it's Border, so what? But
it's the new Oregon.
If you look at the stats for both of these teams, for both TSM and Empire, up until this event, Border, a nice one there, Paul. He's making his sponsors happy, that's for sure. But if you look at the stats from both of these teams, up until this event, it was their permaban for both teams. Empire banned it out 9 times in previous series. TSM banned it out 19 times in previous series, but they were both willing to go for it, both willing to leave it into the pool, and that's going to make for a really interesting third map if we end, or 17 times, excuse me, not 19 times for TSM banning it. But regardless, it's going to make for a really interesting affair, as it will basically be the first time, at least in quite a while, that we've seen either team play on that map.
Yeah, it should be truly incredible to see. Again, as you said, there's not going to be too much VOD on either of these teams for that map, or if any at all. It might be from forever ago, when Team Empire wasn't Team Empire, and when TSM was not TSM, or when there was not as many of the names that are currently on the roster as there was before, because everybody's had roster moves. We had them all across the spectrum for both of these teams, but that doesn't matter now, folks. It's TSM. It's Team Empire. We're going to Clubhouse. Can TSM stand up to the Russian machine on a map that they are so known for?
Let's find out, folks. The ban phase is getting started right now. By the way, our Bravo stream has also started its second map on Banks. Make sure you head over there to check things out, as they're going to be jumping into their second game as well. We just saw the folks from Team Secret come out on top of it, and now are looking to close out the series.
Habana banned out, and we were actually talking about this before once we learned that Clubhouse was going to be in the map pool. And you said, well, I think Maverick's going to be banned. I said, more than likely they'll either both be banned or Habana will be banned because of her ability to get all of the hatches that you need, as well as still play a Thermite. But instead they're going to ban out the Habana instead of the Maverick. So that being said, that means that Mav is going to have to help quite a bit to get those hatches open. Takes a lot longer time, which is why, personally, I favor the Habana ban over the Maverick ban. Maverick makes CCTV a lot easier, but banning out the Habana makes it to where you have to have that prowess with that torch to be able to get all of the hatches open that you need. But with that being said, we have Capitao, Mira, as well as Echo banned out, and we've talked about Echo quite a bit recently. Those drones now extremely invisible and just not something you want to play into.
Banning out the Hibana as well is going to paint a giant target on Thermite's back throughout this entire series as well, and with how aggressive both teams' defensive sides have been, if they can find that opportunity to pick him off, it's going to be a massive advantage going to that team. So they're definitely going to want to keep their eyes on that and any potential capability to pick them off. that might present itself. To start things out, though, we're going to head over to the basement, as you might expect. It's kind of been a split amongst teams recently between a basement start and a start over in cache/CCTV. So it's pretty much the dealer's choice when it comes to that. And like we were saying before, because of the fact that this is Team Empire's choice, TSM got the side choice to start this one out, and they are going to continue to play on the defense, just how they ended our second map. Or first map, excuse me.
All right, well, downstairs is going to start things off for TSM, and this is one of the maps that we saw Pojo play on originally when he did come back to this roster from being a coach and was permanently set in stone that he was going to be playing with the roster, and that's where, well, we originated the wall meme and shot for Pojo, as he got some truly insane clutches on Clubhouse.
Very amazing stuff from him indeed. We're going to hopefully get to see a little bit more of that. But even more impressive this time, too, is it'll go up against a team like Empire, who's already proven themselves on the international stage multiple times throughout the last year or so now. But to start things out, of course, we've got the players from TSM working their way around to set up. Primarily, Pojo Man setting up these cameras, a little bit of presence onto the inside of Garage. You can actually see quite a bit of spread, too, from TSM, so it is looking like they're going to try to throw a little bit of a roam game into this one, too, in order to add that extra presence and maybe catch a few players from Empire in the early round here. See specifically second floor, they've got quite a bit, and that's normally to catch a team that kind of ignores that second floor presence and tries to go forward into a standard execute. If you do ignore that, obviously those roamers upstairs can collapse upon you when you try to execute and pretty much have a free way to kill your entire team. So you need to deal with that upstairs before you can focus on the basement attack.
Well, it seems that Merc has been locked inside of stash/logistics as Joystick is staring him down. Dan working his way across the side, but Achieve gonna get a very aggressive, and this time it works out. He didn't show up too well last map, but it does seem like Vigil's actually gonna be the one marked out. It's not going to be Merc. This might actually spell disaster unless Joystick checks this cross. He's going to mark once again to see if he can find the footsteps. He knows he's playing close, gets aggressive. Merc with the nitro cells, a little bit of panic comes out, can rotate out safely. The hatch is still open, but he's gonna continue to bide his time. Joystick's actually gonna be able to see that shotgun barrel as well, as it appears that he will be able to rotate back through construction. So Merc being able to stay alive is very, very big here.
So now we are going to see Joystick continue to look for entry capabilities here. Not a whole lot going to be isolated out under these circumstances, at least. They are trying to find Achieved, and he's going to get caught mid-reload. Joystick able to take him out, finally trading back down into the 4v4. He'll take care of some of the cash stacks, which would open up Merc a little bit more. The scan, not going to be able to find anyone in the nearby vicinity, but Shepard able to catch Merc when he tries to get aggressive and push over towards CCTV. And with Shepard finding that pick, now the advantage shifts over towards Empire in a 4v3.
But I wouldn't hold your breath for him just yet, because they still have to try and get some pressure downstairs, and this roam game has wasted so much time. Bolo's still inside of the bathroom as well, trying to play Deadpool's advocate towards Team Empire right now. They thought everything was clear, but not for long, as it's going to continue to attack on. Bio's upstairs as well. There's only one man downstairs. It's Pojo. They have to try and trade this out, but Bio's going to continue to be able to play his life. He's inside of Kitchen. They have no Jackal track to try and help them out. They have to try and drone this out. It's only the two hard breaches left. 30 seconds left as TSM continues to try and put the pressure on. Bio continue to try and win out this gunfight, but it's going to be Scyther as they rip open the Moto hatch. All that remains is Pojo. Both going to try and get aggressive towards Moto, but it's going to be Pojo to try and tack on. He finds the head upside there, makes it a 1v1, but Shepard wins it out at the last second. Very close here in round number 1 between these two teams.
Pojo's so close to the clutch, unfortunately committed just a little bit too much ammo in order to get that first kill. Had to go for the reload and is caught on the rotate back to the half bar. Empire barely squeak out that opening round. Now take the lead at 1-0. TSM will go right back to the basement site though, since it was so close. They will attempt it a second time.
Truly incredible stuff from Team Empire. Once again, the grit of this Russian team, no matter what is in front of them, they can be down 1 versus 3, 2 versus 5, whatever it is. It's truly incredible.
As we move into the next round here,
Attackers need to locate and defuse
we will
as
see
many bombs as they can.
if we can catch that adjustment from the members of TSM. They can maybe slow things down a little bit. Like I said, very, very aggressive, especially in the early round for them. And it had good results for the most part. Unfortunately, got traded onto way too heavily as they tried to peel that pressure back down into the basement itself. And as a result of that, Empire did end up taking control of that clutch situation in the late round here. As you can see, though, pretty much everybody getting a piece of the pie in that last round. very even spread of kills amongst the entire scoreboard right now.
Yeah, but one person's got more, and I wonder why. It was Shepard able to finally clutch that up. Again, not off the back of a lack of heroics from the likes of Pojo. Thought he had it up until the end, but instead immediately tries to go for the reload, tries to find some bullets instead of switching to the deagle, and definitely came up short. But not for lack of trying. We saw a lot of roam pressure here by TSM. It seems like they want to try and go for the same exact route. So got quite a bit of pressure from Bio as well as Pojo will rotate back down to site. So very interesting spread by TSM on how they enjoy taking, or at least holding, this basement. Very surprised to see that Team Empire hasn't tried to make an adjustment, but at the end of the day, actually really not that surprised. It is Team Empire. It's the same thing over and over again with minor adjustments to continue to pummel down a defense. We'll have to see if it continues working.
So some really posturing here as we just have Joystick working his way around, popping open a couple of the hatches that'll give them access to the second floor. As once again, they'll look to isolate out that roaming presence. You can see, though, it's a lot less prevalent this time from the side of TSM. They don't have nearly as much upstairs trying to delay these players. In fact, it doesn't really look like there's much in terms of roaming presence at all. They've kept it down in the basement for the most part, with maybe one or two players roaming closer towards garage, with an easy evacuation route back downstairs if that proves necessary. So trying to play it much closer to the chest this time due to those rotation issues in the first round.
I really like how TSM has a body in almost every single important part of this map. At every single place where there is a turn of events, either to an important room or something along those lines, there is a member of TSM trying to defend that area. We have achieved currently in more or less the breezeway in between both of the main parts of the building, excuse me. So Merc will be on the main stairs. Achieved to pick it up, though, as since there's so many roamers, it's really hard to continue to track all of them. You can only track one at a time. Scyther will find Achieve, but the mute of Merc has already rotated back downstairs. Quick shots as Joystick's going to take quite a bit of damage, but the pre-fire will bear fruit.
Reloading.
So more opening picks here. And the roaming presence here from TSM not finding as much impact, at least as we saw on Kafe. Bolo going to be next up to the bat here as he tries to rotate himself into the bar area. Through pool first, catches Scyther in the midst of trying to open up the hatch. Shepard will trade him, but not before Bolo also takes out Joystick. Some even impact, that's for sure, and it's brought his team back into the fold. Now back down to a 2v2 again.
Well, this time it's Pojo and Bio. That's what we had exactly last time, but instead of Shepard and Scyther, it's Shepard and Dan to try and pick up the pieces and win yet another round here on Clubhouse. Gonna have to try and find Bio once again. Pojo was the man, was able to try and battle things back the last time, making it a 1v1, but lost out due to the lack of bullets in that MPX. This time TSM taking things just a little bit slower. Dan getting rid of that barbed wire inside of the hallway. Going to pop open the above side as they're worried about somebody trying to bandit trick, but there is not even a bandit in play. Dan will actually be able to find Bio as he peeks back into some bullets. It's going to be all left up to the Valkyrie. Quick shots as two remain. It's going to be Shepard once again to shut down Pojo Man, and Team Empire walk away with round number 2.
Same exact circumstances for the most part here too, except this time Empire have a little bit more room to execute, so it's even easier to close out the 2v2. Great follow-ups from Empire, not messing up in these clutch situations, and it's allowing for them to control the game right now at 2-0. Finally, we'll see TSM decide, all right, we can't win these late round situations, guys. We're getting traded way too heavily in the mid round as well. Don't think we can play this side. We've got to rotate, so they're going to head up to Cash next.
The roam game is actually working out very well downstairs. They're getting a lot of pressure, but the issue is that they just do not have enough manpower downstairs when it comes down to crunch time. And it's punished them both times, especially with the likes of Bio. He's just been dying a little bit too quickly to help out Pojo, and it's really been a detriment, especially on that last round where they were just able to pinch out instead of having to come from one door with one man remaining. And again, you have to look at Bio for that one because he ended up getting stuck behind the bomb chassis and losing out that gunfight to Dan, who just pre-fired at head level after initially making contact. Ended up finding the likes of Bio, which led to that round victory for Team Empire.
So into another round we go, another attempt for TSM. Start putting some rounds onto the board here for Empire to continue their late round dominance. I think we'll see a lot more straightforward action this time now that we've moved over to Cash and CCTV. Probably not going to be as much room for those roamers to slow them down in the early round, although they can certainly try their best to delay in areas like the garage, or depending on the execute strategy from Empire, places like construction as well.
Well, if you're a TSM fan, I would say that you really don't have to worry anymore. I know everyone had a big question mark on what it would be for a major event for you know, the young gunners and likes of Bolo and as well as Merc, where, you know, they really haven't been in this environment before, and how are they going to perform? Well, I can tell you that they're definitely going to perform just like it's another day in the office, and that's what we've seen so far. Both of them getting aggressive when it's needed. Nothing really shaking on either end of the spectrum.
So once again, Execute will be lining up its potential here with the focus on the balconies first to get them access to the site, and from there they can start setting up some cross angles. Scyther will have to try and open up some of this with the Maverick, but he does delay, and there's kind of good reason behind that. You can see there's presence right on the other side of that wall, so might be a little bit cautious at this point just to make sure that that player on the other side isn't able to catch him, which thankfully with the way he's approaching this hatch opening, it's probably not going to happen. So he's going to be pretty safe to pop this open and get rid of these walls just through your standard means on Maverick.
Yeah, and you can't Maverick the bottom of the floor anymore while repelled. You have to lay down like you see Scyther right now. Was a little bit of an adjustment, because if you do it on repel, you actually get shocked the entire time now, and you really don't want that. So a little bit of time taken to open this up. Scyther's in a very dangerous spot, but finally is able to vacate the area. He tried to make it soft, but it doesn't seem like it worked. Was not able to make a solid line across at all. So seems like they might be rotating for a construction stake instead. We do have Karzeka as well as Joystick lined up inside of logistics as well as Master.
So Joystick popping open the majority of construction here just to catch anyone from TSM that might try to roam into there. Like I said before, they've been big fans of trying to play for aggressive tendencies, and this actually is a pretty good Jackal spot.
Merc has to hate him right now. Every single one of these tracks from Joystick has been Merc, and the man has died almost every single time. It's almost like a marker that he just cannot get rid of, but it seems like this time he might be able to play out his life on cash stairs instead and want to maintain that nitro cell.
Not going to be able to find any impact, though, as a result of that, as his opponent should be well aware of his position, and more than likely will try to avoid or just pre-aim for him when they move in. Scyther, though, is going to end up being first to be found here, but Joystick able to trade that right back. Pojo Man, though, keeping it in an advantage situation for TSM, as now the time starts to run low. Empire need to execute soon, but as you can see, they don't really have any good angles to play off of, despite getting the wall open. They don't have that easy capability to work their way into the site because the four-man setup is still there on the inside of the site. Drone presence going to be thrown to the inside of Cash to try and find out where some of the members of TSM are hiding. They're only able to find one with it, however. There's still one player as well, keeping them at a cross angle in Garage is not going to allow for an easy execute. Pojo Man pushes out into construction to find Karzeka. Empire continue to fall to pieces, and just like that, we'll see Shepard and Dan get picked off by Biologic and Bolo to give TSM their first round on number 3.
Empire just stalling out at the end right there, and TSM slowly but surely battling back. They're still down one round, but CCTV works out very well, and it just seemed that Team Empire really didn't know how to work the Maverick torch. I mean, I really hate to put it on that, but they weren't able to make the wall soft. They finally got the wall open, but it was already after TSM had all the picks that they possibly wanted. They still had control of Garage, which makes it extremely hard to get anybody inside of CCTV. Yeah, congratulations, you have the wall open, but have fun trying to kill the man off of Catwalk without any bottom pressure.
No intel for the most part as well. It seemed like they were pretty lacking on that result, because in the past they'd been pretty good at kind of hunting these players down one by one and trying to isolate them out. Didn't really see that this time. Obviously the roaming presence had been pulled back from TSM. They were playing a lot more passive with it, but even the drone intel they were getting, they weren't really able to execute upon it because they were so bunkered down into the site, especially past that 1 minute mark where Empire just really couldn't find anything, and it was TSM's round from that point, in my opinion.
Again, Pojo has played at this level for an extremely long time. He's seen almost everything that can possibly be thrown at you. And with those quick adjustments are really what's going to bring TSM to victory here if they're able to beat Team Empire. And that would be a shock to the ecosystem of Rainbow Six Siege. This team of, well, a content creator and basically a band of misfits that really couldn't find any success inside of the competitive side of R6, all except for Pojo, but things had fallen off with the likes of DZ. So again, you have to look at it and go, okay, it comes together with these 4 people that really haven't found any success inside of, Pro League, any of that just yet. Come together with Pojo Man, you get that veteranism in there, and it's truly showing just how incredible you can be, even if you haven't played on this stage before.
So back to the basement for the 3rd time of this half here so far. TSM are going to try it once more now that they've kind of figured out how to play at least a little bit more passively.
Oh, Merc. Okay, we're going to have Merc on Maestro instead this time around.
Which makes me a bit worried because it means we're going to see a really aggressive Maestro play,
Hey,
especially towards blue stairs there.
Complete honesty, you can pre-fire literally everything with that gun.
Yeah.
So if he loses a gunfight, that's on him. I'm just gonna...
It's taking a risk though, right? Because it's sacrificed
absolutely.
late round utility there of the black eye cameras. But to be fair, like that happens a pretty low number of times in my opinion where the black eye cameras are actually that useful, especially for denying plants.
It's more for information. If you haven't set up properly, it's more for information than you're just a man with an incredible gun. But the main person I want to talk about for TSM on this defense is going to be achieved on that pulse. If you're able to run everything through pulse, especially on this site, you can literally almost be seeming like you're cheating with your team. You gain so much intel with this cardiac sensor, especially when you're playing these bottom sites. You can literally dictate everything that your team does, and they can peek with information on almost every single kill, which is something that no other operator can provide.
With that much utility being added into the fray here, it's definitely going to cause some worries for Empire once they realize exactly what they're dealing with. You're going to be able to see that pulse be used very, very quickly here. Speaking of which, where do we see him hiding out at? All right, so at the moment trying to counter a memorial drop in the opening of that hash. We may see him start to at least turn his camera, if not necessarily shift the player himself over to try and counter out the kitchen hatch drop as well. But it can be really good for finding that utility. As we're going to see, though, first hatch is opened up leading into Memorial. Shepard going to drop a drone down there to start hunting these players down. So achieved. Not going for as much active denial this time. Doesn't necessarily have the support to do it, unfortunately, on his own. But he still has that nitro cell to try and pick off a player early if he wants it.
I'm loving this adjustment by TSM. They've recognized out that Team Empire will bide their time as long as possible to try and gain information. So instead, TSM has went, okay, we're going to turtle site, allow them to just sit and spin on this timer. And when they finally get aggressive, we're going to have everything in the world to try and shut that down. But it has to work out. Toxic Babes now ring through. It's going to be an immediate trade between the two teams as Shepard as well as Bolo will fall. Both big picks, especially with the thermite.
So down.
Oh. Scyther might be coming up mud tunnel.
It's looking like he's got the drone capability for it at this point. Scanned it out. We'll have to see if this works, so they don't have a whole lot of time in order to execute upon this. Oh, achieved just a little bit early on that nitro cell. Might have gotten much better damage against one of the members of Empire if he had waited a couple more seconds, but too little too late, unfortunately. Now the execute coming in. Joystick starts this off with an entry. Rest of the team not going to be much further behind. Now they've managed to work their way into Arsenal. The plant coming down from Dan. Joystick knocks out Scyther in the process, though, but Penn follows it up with a knife onto Merc. Where is TSM's response? We don't see anything from them. Pojo finally with the run out through Church, but that doesn't matter. Achieved also goes down without much contest. The Arsenal defense just falls to pieces, and Empire walk right in.
Again, TSM, very good idea. I like the adjustment they had, recognizing out that, okay, Empire is going to take their time to try and get this execute off. The issue is that they didn't go, okay, Team Empire is more than likely going to try and adjust when they go for this initial take. So Team Empire shows the face of, okay, we're going to attack Church. Smile. No, we're not going to attack Church. We're actually attacking Armory. We send 2 people through blue as well as 1 through mud tunnel. They don't even recognize out that the man's coming mud tunnel, but it doesn't matter because Joystick's going to kill his teammate anyways. But it doesn't matter either because they already had the pressure that they needed on Armory to try and get that diffuser down. And this is exactly what happened. They end up taking over all of Armory instead of going for Church, which TSM thought was going to be the main focus, and it wasn't.
A big mistake on the reading of the intel there by TSM, and it's going to cost them the potential tie at 2-2. Instead, Empire pushes ahead again on this attack at 3-1, with only 2 rounds left for TSM to try and at least tie it up now at 3-3. They're going to head over towards the bedroom gym defense next, so it should be a pretty typical setup from them on their defensive matrix. You're not expecting anything out of the ordinary, but once more, this is also going to put the pressure on to the guys from Empire. That's only 1 round so far. But the guys on TSM was back over on Cache and CCTV, which is a site that plays somewhat similarly to this one. So if Empire runs into the same issues they had on that site of not getting intel, not being able to isolate out the roamers due to them playing more passively, on top of a few other issues that also pop up on this site, we could be looking at a second round here for TSM.
Attackers are moving out to locate a
A
bomb.
strat that we've seen quite a few times now as it's became quite prolific holding down the cache room when you're holding the master bedroom as well as weights. See if it works out this time around. Saw it happen quite a few times at the 6 Invitational, and especially from the likes of Fnatic.
So now Empire starting to look, just trying to make sure there's nothing too crazy, nothing aggressive being thrown out here by TSM. For the most part, they've been avoiding that on this map. You're not able to do it as much as you can on Kafe. Oh, shit. Oh, it was Surgeon in training here as he manages to isolate out Merc. He knew that they had presence in this site before. Catches it out this time and eliminates the Legion before he can have any impact.
And the earlier you kill Legion, the less effective he is. He is a very annoying operator in those late round games where there seems to be a goo mine on every single door that gets stuck in your ankle. You have to go through that entire process of getting out or suffer the consequences of damage as well as not being able to sprint. But not going to have to worry about that too much here in round number 5 as Merc will get eliminated early on. That should be the Jaeger. Yes, it will. It's going to be achieved downstairs on blue stairs. Actually, can possibly rotate up Cash, but don't think we're going to be seeing that just yet. We did have Bio, I believe, that was also playing on Cash stairs. As yes, he will be actually inside of Cash room now. They still have quite a bit of time to delay. They still want to get about 30 seconds off this clock, but they might have to pay blood for it.
Dan's going to be working his way in. Soft Destruction to pop open the window and give them a little bit more vision onto the inside of the site. Joystick is taking care of a default cam real quick. He probably got spotted in the process of this, so they know he's right around the corner. And you can see, trying to take challenge onto him, but once again, it's not going to work out. Pojo Man ends up getting knocked out by Dan on the peak. You still have another player that could cause problems, but he's going to get pinched in a second too by Dan. There you go. Achieved is able to trade it back on the Jaeger. It's a small Joe. Never mind. He gets a second. Bolo goes down, but Achieved also caught seconds later by Scyther. Seals the deal for Empire. Was looking a bit dodgy there for a second with the Achieved push, but Empire controls it and does shut down the round.
Again, there's a reason that you don't take Empire to Clubhouse, and it's for reasons like this. It's not just the defensive side that they're good at. They are truly insane on this offense. And the best that TSM can possibly get right now is a 4-2. But with how things have been going, I assume we're going down the 5-1 route.
It's looking likely at this point. We are going to go back over to CCTV and Cash, which is the only one site so far by TSM, but it seems as though that Empire has already made up for the issues that they've suffered on that site previously, at least looking at the last round's attack. A lot of this depends, in my opinion, on how TSM try to play it. Once again, they try to go aggressive on that round and extend their grasp over towards CCTV and Cash and even Garage towards the end of the round and try to pinch out the execute from Empire, but that does not work. The passive play, the much more restrained in-sight play from them, has so far been the only thing that has yielded results and given them a round on this defensive half.
All right, well, start round 6. We'll see if TSM will finally be able to battle back, and will Merc get out of this absolute nightmare of a defensive half for him? Has not been able to find a single frag yet. Truly a detriment, especially with how well he was performing on Kafe, but it seems like Team Empire definitely has his number for the time being.
A lot of that coming back to the Jackal capability being added back into this map as well. He was banned out in map number 1, this time left in the pool, quite obviously. Joystick, along with a few other players from Empire, have been thriving with the use of him.
And Merc searching for any bit of drone and he can possibly find. Goes for the spawn peek here as well from the lobby door, but definitely not going to come up with anything just yet. And with the likes of Team Empire, I can almost guarantee you we're going to be seeing the exact same thing again. Merc has adjusted where he's roaming this time around, but Joystick's going to be able to get those footsteps from the main staircase. He's been there almost every single time that they start, and he's going to do the exact same thing. Pop logistics hats, rotate to Jacuzzi, open up the Jacuzzi balcony wall, and start his roam clear from there.
So we're also going to see, it's looking like they'll be able to get access as, yeah, Achieved, unfortunately not going to be able to trick it. The wall will be open much more early this time compared to the last round we played against this site. They had to use Maverick in order to get it. They didn't get it open until like about a minute left on the clock. So now they've got a lot more time to work with. All they have to focus on now is establishing the angles needed, especially from Garage and outside of that window on the other side of Cash in order to make this execute happen. And well, they were just gifted the pick against Biologic because it looks like he was dealing with pressure in the Garage itself. So with Dan finding that kill, this gets a whole lot easier for Empire.
Yes, it does, and the hunt already going down for Valkyrie as well as Joystick's going to track him once again. Again, for roamers, it's absolute nightmare fuel when your number continues to get called, and it seems like it's going to be all in the site presence now as Achieve will finally find Joystick. They're trying to battle back, but Merc as well as Achieve are already off-site. They can get this diffuser down for practically free at this point. They do still have the rotate through the wall, and it seems like nobody's worried about Garage right now. This could be massive. It is. It's going to knock down the diffuser as they still have to be worried about Merc inside of Garage. Bio's rotating back, Achieve is rotating back as well as the Bandit have to try and pick this diffuser up. Still plenty of time as they do still have control of Cash, but Merc to find Karzeka. That's a massive pick. Diffuser go down one again as Scyther has to try and don this mantle. Starts trying to get the diffuser down next to the broken hole. He's going to stick it as well. He can immediately rotate out the balcony. Quick shots, rotates out, but does not get this diffuser down. They both know exactly where he is now, as they're just going to have to try and bide their time. Waste as much of Scyther's time as possible on this balcony. Pre-fire's coming through from Merc now as well.
Smart late round play here coming in from TSM. Should net them the win. And there you go, achieved a slot through the wall. He knew the general position of Scyther. Just that one final shot, as he was already very low, needed to finish him off. As TSM do still end up with a little bit of fight left in them after all. It is, however, still going to keep them behind on their coming off of their defensive half at 2-4 against Empire. And that gives Empire quite a bit of an advantage if they can show just as much dominance on this defensive side as they did on the attack.
Again, you might not have a very good showing, but at least you have impact when it matters. And that's exactly what we're going to have from Merc right there, as they're able to pick up their second round. But now they're on the less favorable side of Clubhouse, arguably. So we'll see if they're able to find the same success that Team Empire had on their offensive half. Or are you going to have Merc with a 6th pick? It's going to be Ash over to Zofia. Everything else right as rain. Bolo going to be on the sledge as well as Achieved on the buck. So plenty of soft destruction picked up by the offense. We're not going to have a Thatcher picked up, though, which is not the best. Not the best, especially with the site that we're currently on.
Especially considering as well, you've got the double electrifying combo of Bandit along with Kaid as well. That's going to add a lot more defensive setup here for Empire and potentially just counter out any attempts from TSM in order to get open either the balcony wall or even the construction wall too, as with Kaid being added into it on top of him, on top of the usual Bandit addition, they're going to have plenty of those electrical reinforcements to get both walls.
Well, the scary thing is now is that they have to clear mid-floor to try and get Achieved underneath to use those bucks to get rid of the Bandit batteries, because there's no real other option. I mean, you could possibly try and frag grenade it. You're going to have to burn the ADSs that Joystick puts down on the wall. From the balcony, the master balcony is what most people call that, which is right behind the scoreboard right now. That window that you see Shepard standing next to, you'll open that up and then burn the ADSs, try and get a nade in to get those destroyed, but more than likely you're going to get challenged from construction or somewhere else. It's definitely not the best avenue to try and get rid of things, so more than likely we are going to see TSM go for a mid-floor clear and get some pressure inside of the lounge area.
I can already see Bolo going for a front door entry. He'll pop that open with a sledge real quick, and now they've got to be a little bit more careful just due to the fact that they don't necessarily know how Empire are going to judge their roaming presence on the
Jackal
so
either.
far. Yeah, no Jackal being used, which is surprising considering how prevalent it was, but Joystick strikes first, and importantly, he kills the buck. So if they were planning to go for that under-the-floor strategy in order to knock out the batteries and or K reinforcements on the balcony wall, can't do that anymore.
Again, the most opening kills in the entire game of Rainbow Six Siege has been done by Joystick. 31 at SI. He's incredible player once again. Gonna get droned out by Biologic, but again, you don't want to give this man his ones. He's gonna waste quite a bit of time, and all he has to truly do is show face. Bolo's already taking quite a bit of damage, but it'll be Merc to find Joystick. Rotated underneath, I do believe, yes he did. He found him downstairs. Rotated him down the blue stairs, quickly rotated into blue, and very nice adjustment as Merc came down main.
Not necessarily the worst death in the world for Joystick at this point, though, considering he already found impact, and his teammates also did some damage onto the sledge as well. Biologic, instead of trying to play around fancily, thankfully they brought the Maverick to the table so they can still manage to pop open this wall regardless. Just a little bit more riskier now, since, as you were mentioning before, you can't necessarily go for the upside-down rappel in order to fully safely open that. But now the problem is they want to get open the other side. If they want to have the pinch potential to come in from an area like construction, they're going to have to constantly move Maverick all over the place, which is not very time efficient here. And you can see it. They have moved him over as he's now going to be focused on the garage push as well, now that the walls have been softened on the balcony, as far as I can tell.
Once again, what else would you expect from Team Empire here on Clubhouse? There's a reason you don't take him here. And
that was a bold walk from Cars there.
Yeah, Kozeka really thought he was going fishing, didn't he? Definitely did not come up with much. Scyther sees the shadow of the lifeline and is actually going to get bursted with one of those concussions, but definitely not going to come up with anything just yet. Dan on a rotation as well. This could be the play that's needed for Team Empire to try and bring this round back. Right now, it's more or less in a midst of Merc murdering literally everyone as he's looking for the ace so far, but Scyther to shut him down, as it's only Scyther and Shepard left alive on site. 30 seconds remaining. They still need to get this diffuser down. It's going to be the likes of Pojo Man's hands. So Bolo and Bio are the other two remaining members, as Bolo tries to go for a nade. Quick shots, though, by the Maverick will end up downing one. And it's going to be Bio to continue to, or excuse me, Pojo Man to continue to tack on TSM with the first offensive round.
And I'll correct myself, they never got either of those walls open, actually just using the Maverick lines in order to provide the crossfire angle that was needed for them to execute onto the site, mainly through garage.
We actually saw something similar similar on Border when you and I casted Team Secret when they ended up banning out the Habana and the Thermite.
That's right.
If you remember correctly. They would take they would take Montang, put him on the door of Armory lockers on Border, then Maverick straight across a line so they could see in. Have that, that Maestro, oh my goodness gracious, that Montang, thank you, that Montang, to apply pressure to half wall, get that man to move, and get that frag. So a little bit of rudimentary work with the torch, especially after losing out your Thermite. Some good plays.
Monte, by the way, another operator we haven't seen too much of on this map just yet. Sometimes ends up being pretty prevalent, especially for cache and CCTV takes. However, doesn't really fit the play style of either of these teams as far as I remember, so it's probably unlikely that we will see him brought on unless there's at least it would be TSM, at this point, that really want to change up their game plan, which I don't expect them to do.
Well, but Team Empire will be going downstairs now. Things pretty equally spread, and it appears that Merc has woken up. 5-2 and 5.
Yeah, especially on the attacking side here, you get a great first round. Some really great weighted aggression, too.
He's not getting Jackal tracked 7 times.
Yeah,
so.
that helps. But
it does help a lot when people don't know where you are.
Being able to isolate out Joystick in the early round on top of just some really smart weighted play closer to the garage at the end definitely was pivotal in helping his team to close out that one. As it was still a pretty risky round at the end of the day for TSM. Didn't necessarily seem like they had it going in their favor until the very end when they had that strategy established. But also Empire not able to deal with those Mavericks, so we'll have to take another look at that if they end up going to that site again, which I would say is likely. Empire seems pretty locked in their rotation, as once again, instead of reattempting that site like you were mentioning, they're now downstairs. So which that fits the profile for what they were doing back on Kafe as well.
Well, Team Empire going to start things off the exact same way. Joystick
it's Buck.
onto Achieved. It's Buck dead to the hands of Joystick once again. You got to worry about that Achieved. You got to check your angles, buddy, because Joystick's going to continue to nail that man, and it's not looking good for TSM once again. They were able to bring it back last time, but especially on this site, things are going to get pretty difficult because he did not bring a sledge. So their soft destruction has all of a sudden went down massively. Not able to rip apart that that kitchen floor nearly as well any longer.
Yeah, just hunting these guys down one by one. We'll have we're going to have a Claymore go over the oil pit just to make sure nobody tries to sneak up on them from the defensive side. Already seen that attempted a couple of times, so we're going to counter that out. More to just deter them than anything, as it's very unlikely someone would actually run into that, considering they'd have to walk right up the ladder with their head peeking through those lasers. Still down a man, but guys from TSM taking things very carefully. Merc nearly losing his life. It's a good thing it was a quick peek. He is able to work his way back up above the safety barrier on the top of those blue stairs. He's got to be very careful if he wants to attempt to re-peek it again, even with the support from his lifeline there.
It's going to be a minute, though, as Merc's going to continue to try and put pressure on Blue, just have a body somewhere else and not allow rotations up through Oil Pit, which actually could happen, but Joystick's definitely not going to attempt it. Doesn't have any impact, so would have to have somebody try and rotate through the sight lines of Merc, which would probably be a bad idea at this point. We do have breaching charges on Bolo. Thank God for TSM, otherwise things were going to get very, very hairy there, especially since Merc is all the way across, but it's not going to matter as Bolo will get taken down. Dan watching the angle from underneath. The little shelving unit that you can use to impact trick the hatch.
So down another player here. TSM slowly losing manpower one by one as they try to attack this site. Empire remaining stalwart as always, not moving an inch from their setup for the most part, and not getting over aggressive either, especially since they got the early kill. Joystick reading Pojo Man like a book right there, on top of seeing the shadow. Makes an easy pickup for him. Scyther will find Bio. Now the only man left alive was the one who survived the peak earlier here. Merc, only with a sliver of HP left, unfortunately not going to have much of a capability in order to push this.
Don't do it, Merc.
I mean, you can see Empire has the full setup against this man right now.
Oh my God.
There is literally 4 players looking in the blue specifically for his push. So this is not going to pan out. You got to try and do something a little bit less predictable. But even upstairs at the bar, and he can see it, or realizes there's a possibility anyway, Karzeka's waiting for him here too.
Well, as soon as Merc drops this, it's going to be a 5-3, and it's actually going to be Shepard through the hatch instead. Flawless round by Team Empire. They've been able to find one so far on every map that they've played, and seems like Clubhouse is going to be no different. So Kafe and Clubhouse both having a perfect round by Team Empire on them. But for TSM, it's just that they're getting caught out on these silly peaks that you really shouldn't be taking just yet. They really didn't have any pressure downstairs. They had the breaching charges open for the back of Armory, but there's always that one angle from underneath that little shelving unit that's very dangerous to peek, because if somebody's watching it, then you're almost immediately dead, but if they're not, you're able to obviously pick up that angle, and you're more than likely going to get a free kill off of it. But for TSM, just picked apart on almost every single front, especially for that last round. They have to try and battle back now. We're going to CCTV room once again for Team Empire. This is the site where TSM were able to pick up the pieces after Achieved fell and win out their first offensive round. But first things first, Achieved needs to stay alive. Just stay alive this round. This Joystick,
use that buck.
Yeah, Joystick for every single round so far on their defensive half has started off with the opening kill, which is exactly what we expect, but it's been on to Achieved almost every single time, and especially on the sites that they've been to in most recent history, he's been that pivotal point for TSM. They need him alive to be able to try and achieve something.
So now it's going to be up to TSM to see how they play this one out. Judging from the lineup on Empire, it's looking like in general we're going to see them start to shift back the aggression once again, with Joystick and potentially Dan being the exception to that. Dan maybe not so much, considering that he needs to be available to Trick if that's going to be a focus of theirs, because they swapped out the Cade from previous rounds. So besides Joystick, you can expect continuation of that passive play that we were seeing in the last round.
Oh.
Joystick is really all they need when it comes to the roaming presence. He's already found impact. Number 2 might be looming in the future here as well. He's already been able to find the Thatcher. Now we could try to take out the Bucker. Maybe another player lurking closer to Garage.
Russian Cyborg continues to tack on. So wall will be thermited behind him. It's going to be one of the garage doors, as Joystick's going to be in pretty bad shape if he sticks around, so he immediately vacates the area. This man moves like a dancer around these maps. It's truly incredible to watch his roam game and how quickly he's able to gather intel and chooses to rotate off or not. Achieved soon might be in battle once again, as continues to drone, but they're not going to drone oil pit. And that's exactly where Joystick is lying in wait. He's going to be able to continue this out. They've recognized out that the man is rotated, but do they know exactly where? Achieved is waiting for it right now. Believe that they do know that Joystick is there. They are going to drone it out, so Joystick's about to be in a world of trouble here. Drone rotates through, recognizes out where Joystick is. He has to try and rotate out here, but Achieved is lying in the straights. Quick fire, but nothing going to make any contact.
Joystick kind of locked in here at this point, unfortunately. A Nay gonna go in his direction. That will kill him. Sends him slamming into the wall. So a nice, safe play from Achieved right there, considering the history from Joystick in this map, to take him out and bring the team back down into a 4v4.
Yeah, I would much rather you not peek into that. That was very good, very good. Lean on the utility. Don't try and give the man the 1v1 gunfights. I'm actually surprised that they didn't rotate anybody above oil pit when they recognized out exactly what was going on. Just be able to try and put even more pressure on the man, making battle out of 2 gunfights instead of 1. But either way, that's just nitpicky at this point. End up winning it out with a frag grenade. Bio going to start things off with the Maverick upstairs, and kind of lacking on time at this point. They don't have Bolo as the Thatcher anymore, as we have seen Joystick get the opening kill the last 3 rounds in a row.
So 48 seconds left here. We do need to see the players from TSM start to make a move soon, otherwise they're going to run out of time. They don't have a whole lot opened up yet for their team to play into here. Empire, another nice nade here. It's actually going to knock Karzeka down, but he still has stim pistol shots left, so he's able to use that to get him back into the round. Peek over the top. Kar's getting aggressive here now. He's even going to peek into the open there slightly. Still doing a great job at delaying. Those constant peeks are going to cause TSM to second guess themselves and slow down this attack by even more. They can't afford to wait any longer. They just got to go right for it. Achieved, finally alive in this round, leads the charge and makes up for the lack of himself in previous rounds. Immediately moves in to take out Karzeka, but the problem is smoke grenades are still able to delay this even further. 1-for-1 exchange back over at the cache there is going to continue to slow things down. Dan Shepard picking up kills, Bio trading it back, but Achieved is able to pick up that final frag against Shepard in a crazy spree of trades there at the end. TSM just scrapping for the round, and they get it.
It's going to be a flurry from TSM, and Achieved stays alive and makes an impact, as we've been talking about so much. That skeleton key as well as those frag grenades coming up huge. They were able to claim 2 lives, 1 almost. I mean, you kind of have to give it to him that he did end up downing the dock, which allowed them to gain a little bit more pressure. They were able to rotate into garage a lot easier because that man had to go through the full animation of picking himself back up, but still quite a bit of a gunfight. The man maintains that 75 HP after he picks himself back up. Otherwise, you're just stuck at that 20 HP if you get picked up naturally. But for the dock, it's a little bit different, as you are able to recoup yourself as well. But nonetheless, it is going to be TSM bringing this one step closer to tying things up. And again, I am truly impressed with how close this game is right now by the likes of TSM.
TSM is certainly impressing and making a name for themselves, if anything, at later stages in this tournament too. Achieved actually having that epic battle with Joystick right now, as both players pretty much have the same stats. 10 frags each. So we're seeing them lead the charge in both respects right now. Achieved Definitely doing some good stuff, though.
We're going to continue to see the same face from TSM, which is pretty interesting to say the least. And the reason that I say that is because we haven't seen a Jackal adjustment just yet. We've seen how much pressure Joystick has been allowed to put on to TSM, and they really haven't found an answer for him just yet. They finally were able to really shut him down that last round, which granted them a lot of access to the map. Because as you guys have seen, Joystick can literally be anywhere at any point in time. The man's got a fantastic game sense for his roam game, rotates extremely quickly to some extremely random places that you wouldn't really think that he would be. He tried to play his life out in Oil Pit that last time, but again, process of elimination, where would be the only place that he possibly could be? Okay, he's going to be inside of Oil Pit.
The other interesting thing, talking about this as well as to why they may have not brought a Jackal into the fold is that for the most part the roaming is being done primarily by just Joystick. There isn't a whole lot of active roaming presence going on outside of that anyway. So considering that, it's not, you know, I don't really fault TSM for not bringing a Jackal into the fold here, because if they're going to bring one operator just to counter out one player from the other side, you know, if he gets countered, if he gets killed, first of all, that's like just a wasted player at that point. On top of that, once they find Joystick, it's not going to have as much use going into any kind of late run situations. Maybe in some like very close, you know, execute kind of situation, you could isolate out one player and get a kill from a nade on that one. But if it's just being used to find roamers, which is his primary use, they're not going to get a whole lot of use out of that. So I think that's why we're seeing them shift away from the Jackal, at least when compared to TSM, who had a lot more players roaming around the map consistently.
Smart thermite charge here by Pojo Man as he uses the floor angle. Once again, Joystick starting things off with the opening frag for the 4th round in a row. This man is able to continue to do it again, and guess what? Again. As Pojo Man is trying to find this Kaid as he's able to rotate through and ends up losing out the gunfight to Karzeka, that TCS G12. So much damage it provides, and it will be able to take down the thermite of TSM as the remaining members have to try and find something here. Things are getting a lot closer as Dan continues to add to it. No Claymore able to rotate back through CCTV. Actually ends up getting taken down. That will be a confirmed kill as no one's able to refrag. Bolo with that. It's only Bolo and Merc remaining. They both, in their own rights, have found quite a few impact frags, especially on Kafe, but they're needed now. They need to try and pull off these heroics to bring this to a tie instead of letting Team Empire move along to that match point. Karzeka, though, to shut down Merc. Once again, that shotgun so very dangerous. He has to try and pick up the diffuser here. Rotates through, able to recognize out now where Bolo is. Karzeka can play out his life. Scyther's underneath. He rotates all the way down balcony instead, though.
Bolo going to try to work his way back over towards the site here now that he's been found out. He is trying to read into the Cade as the Cade will attempt to peek him out. However, it gets the better of the Cade, at least downs him, and there's not a teammate nearby to quickly res him. That's not saying that can't happen later on, but he will leap in and get caught this time by Shepard as Empire claims yet another round. One away from closing out this map now and sending us over to Border for our final map.
All right, well, if you guys were wondering what was going on over on the Bravo stream, currently on Bank, after the first map was Clubhouse, which Team Secret ended up winning. Now we're on to the second map of Bank, where Team Secret is indeed winning. It's currently 5-3 right now in round number 9.
This Team Secret's looking to get the close out onto their first matchup and looking like they might be able to achieve it in 2-0 fashion. So we'll have to see if they're going to be able to do that. And just a quick reminder, guys, that game can be found over on our Bravo stream at twitch.tv or whatever your platform of choice is, /Rainbow Six Bravo. So we're here on just the regular old Rainbow Six channel. We've got a lot of good matches coming up throughout the day as well. Following this one up, we're going to see EG stepping up to the plate for the first time, as they'll take on NIP, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes, they will. Which should be a very, very fun game. It's always fun when you have NA versus LATAM. It's a sight to behold, to say the least.
Chaos means chaos.
Yeah. I will say one thing though. This game right now is nothing to shake a stick at. It's truly insane.
This one's living up to the hype. I think a lot of people thought that TSM was kind of going to bow down, and it like, I'll be honest, it does kind of seem like TSM has lost the plot a little bit here on Clubhouse. But man, we've got some really exciting stuff happening on the Bravo stream. Whatever's going, I can hear Flynn yelling from the other side of the room. But anyway, I still think people should be really impressed with how much of a fight TSM is putting up against Empire, considering their relative inexperience when it comes to these international lands. On top of the fact is, like, yeah, it's just a really close game overall at the end of the day.
I mean, again, after that Vegas minor, Team Secret can definitely go deep once again. I think they're going to impress a lot of people, especially that people have them tagged as just a team that really can't play anymore. But again, if you didn't see the Vegas minor, you definitely need to go back and watch that because Farrell is almost a phenom. He's truly insane. But again, enough about that game. Let's jump back in here as we are on map point here for Team Empire, not match point just yet, but 6-4 is the scoreline as TSM once again trying to pick up the pieces here. They have to try and battle back. They've been able to find 1 round on their offensive side, or 2 rounds on their offensive side, but it is Team Empire that's currently on map point. So all they need is, we were trying to get a hatch open here with Bio, with the breaching torch, which, again, this is just a struggle bus process. It really is.
It just takes so, I mean, like, look at how much more time this is taking. This was like 30 or 40 seconds to get that open compared to the 5 seconds or so you need to put down a thermite charge. So much, much different in the way that it goes, but it's what you need to do, unfortunately, when Hibana has been banned out. Slows down that attack quite immensely. Now we are going to see this all come to blows in just a second. Now that they have the hatch open, we can start to see players like Achieved wrapping down those main stairs, looking to get into position to start pushing the 90 hall, and then into the site from that point forward.
This could get very dangerous. We've already had a couple rotations come out. Joystick is rotated from blue over into oil pit, and now the kitchen hatch will soon be ripped open, or at least the flooring's getting ripped open for right now. Pojo Man has his sights focused on the church wall, though, as Bio is soon getting things open. Pojo will actually end up picking up Shepard, as Pojo's all the way inside of sight. It gets refragged, though, as Achieved will be able to find a kill as things begin to pop off. We do still have a lot of blue presence, though, like some Joystick inside their immediate rotation over to Oil Pit. A quick drop, and Joystick will rip the head off of Merc. You got to be worried about that. This man's been playing here almost every single round. Scyther, last man inside of blue, will be able to take down Bio. Can he continue to attack on us? Now to 2 versus 2. Dan, Scyther versus Achieved, and Bolo. 30 seconds left. They don't have the diffuser, though, as it has been down inside of Church. It's going to get marked out by Scyther now, as he has recognized that out. Dan trying to take a long-distance gunfight from inside of Armory, and he's actually going to end up winning one out, as Bolo's going to get extremely aggressive for some reason. Achieved the last one alive, and Dan takes him down as well! Team Empire take Clubhouse, and we're going to Border.
Ooh, that's going to be fun, man. I am looking forward to going to Border. We don't know anything about how either of these teams will play on Border, as it's either been such a long time that it's literally out of the stat pool, because generally we use about 3 to 6 months for that stat pool. So at least in Empire's case, it's far out of reach for them. And for TSM, we have never seen them play it really before, especially not on a LAN environment. So I am really pumped for it. I'd love to try and talk to these teams as well to see what the thought process was, and if they are truly ready to go to a map like that. That, of course, is going to be much more apparent when we get onto it. But oh boy, is it going to be fun.
And just for some closing words here before we do jump to the break and get into map 3. It's currently 6-3 right now. 6-3 over on the Bravo stream, and we do have Team Secret in the lead.
So Team Secret, like we said before, already with a lead in that series too, are potentially about to close it down. So be sure to head over to our Bravo stream as the closing moments of that one are now approaching. But also make sure you stick around here on the primary Rainbow Six channel, as coming up right after this break, ladies and gentlemen, we've got map 3 between Team Empire and TSM. It's going to be on Border, a map we haven't seen either team play in recent history, so it should be a boatload of fun. Stick with us, and we'll be right back with more action from the Major. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Rainbow Six Major, live from Raleigh, North Carolina. It's day number 1 of the event, and we've got quite a few good matches already going, including this one between TSM and Team Empire, which has gone the distance to a 3rd map, with each team claiming their own map pick. TSM taking control of Kafe, and just now Empire claiming Clubhouse. We now go to Border, a map that neither team has played in recent history, to decide the series.
You say recent, but between the two teams, it's been banned 26 times.
Yeah.
26.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. 17 by the likes of TSM and then 9 by the likes of Team Empire.
So this will be a first, I think, for both teams. Obviously, with that being such a prevalent ban, there's not a lot of room for counter-strat to be done here. The only way they would have been able to get this intel is through scrims.
Okay, well, also here's the thing. It's Border. There's not a lot of counter-strike that goes into it. It's a very small map. It's more or less, okay, I describe it more as the new Oregon. It's a frag fest. That's really what it is. Everything's pretty set in stone on how you take it. There's no real crazy new dynamic that some team's going to know that the other one doesn't. Again, Border is just a map where if you do the rudimentary things correctly and you're able to win your gunfight, you're going to come out on top. And honestly, I'm feeling like this could go Empire's way because of that. They're a lot more patient on their playstyle. TSM has had a tendency to get antsy so far.
They seem to get rattled a little bit.
Yeah, especially with, I hate to call it out once again, but Bolo, he's been winning a lot of his gunfights, but it seems that in those late rounds on defense, he just peaks a little bit too much, and 9 times out of 10, he's been punished because of that.
And so we're going to have to see if that will remain an issue here. I've been talking, and that is one of my points I wanted to make about TSM in the pregame too, is how sometimes they do overplay the aggression slightly, especially on their defensive side, where they give up roaming presence and try to peek into their opponents, leading to some very like 50-50 duels, which is a very dangerous thing to take, especially against Empire, who has players that have such good records when it comes to 1v1s, most notably Joystick. So you need to be very, very careful of these things. But here we go, folks, the 3rd and final map of the series. It's time for Border. Let's get into it, and let's see who's going to take the first win of Group A.
All right, well, ban phase coming through now, and Border's pretty played out by a lot of teams. So we're more than likely going to be able to recognize things out. Nomad banned initially, and that's going to make things a lot easier for the defense to rotate around. Gridlock's still going to be in play. We're not going to see her removed. More than likely, we're going to see the Capitao banned out next. Hey, what do you know? I'm a wizard, Harry. Defense up next. More than likely, we're going to be seeing an Echo and a Mira. That's what it's going to get banned.
They're going to throw some curveballs here. We got a Legion ban coming out. Watch this.
Got him good. They pay me the big bucks for a reason. Last one.
I just really want you to be wrong. Well, you already said it.
It's going to be Echo, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be Echo.
Yeah, it's going to be Echo. I already know it is. Watch this. Watch. Nope. Maestro!
Oh, they flipped it.
No! I've been trolled.
They flipped it on you.
Wow. I mean, again, there's a reason you want them off the field. There's a reason why you want both of them off the field. They're halfway the same kind of operators. One of them, their utility can't move, and the other one, it can, but it can't destroy things.
TSM hit
and they both have insane guns.
Yep.
So if you guys didn't know this, I found this out probably about 3 months ago. The MP5 SD of Echo with a suppressor does more damage than the regular MP5 of Doc and Rook.
Really?
Yes, its damage margin is 31, and the other ones are 27 or 28. It's one of the numbers. Yeah. So the suppressed MP5, the exact same format, does more damage with a suppressor. It's breaking the game of Siege. Suppressors do less damage.
Making us for some fun to see, as we will see a little bit of Echo play in this series after all, with obviously the Maestro being knocked out of there. So that means that some late round plays from the attackers is not necessarily going to be what you want to go for. You probably want to leave yourself a little bit more time for the attack if you are on the offending side now, as you need to be able to deal with any remaining yokai drones that may have been left in the midst of the site.
I'm very interested to see how both of these teams hold down this site, because in recent history, most teams have been holding down CCTV room because you almost have to. Otherwise, the offense basically has an open sightline right to Armory Lockers, get the wall immediately, and they do it in quite a quick time. Again, this map has been in since practically the very beginning. It was year 1, season 2. So, because it was Dustline. So, because we had the Arctic one that I can't remember, Black Ice, can't remember the name. Anyways, so Dustline was when this one came in, so it's been in for practically the entire existence of this game. Everyone's gotten very good at attacking this map.
All right, guys, well, let's see. We've already got Merc taking up his usual aggressive angle. He does get a ping as if someone is below him, but is not going to be able to find that out on the inside of the server. There's storage room there. The player from Empire has not actually leaped to the inside of the building yet, so won't be much to catch at this point. But there is still someone right on the outskirts, so if he holds this angle long enough, could get lucky and find that player. But no, Karzeka sent a nade upstairs instead, right on top of him. Sent him flying and into the grave.
Yeah, again, some good drone work by Team Empire, and that's what we've came to see from them throughout this entire series. Definitely still in form for lands, and Merc's going to get punished because of that. Some more information coming out now as they're trying to clear out the rest of the CCTV room. That's exactly what's going to happen, as Bola will fall behind half wall to the hands of Dan. So that means they've cleared out most of the top area now. Pojo as well as Bio downstairs, as they're going to have to try and contest customs. Karzeka silently walking through. He's going to be able to win out the gunfight. No, it's going to be almost an equal trade. Pojo on very low HP as well. He's going to have the prone angle, and it's going to be Karzeka with the skeleton key. Shepard now putting the diffuser down. Bio's downstairs as well. As actually everyone's off of site. This is going to be for free. No one can stop this. There's not a single person upstairs from TSM. What is going on?
TSM spreading their wings a little bit too wide on this round, it seemed. Chi will finally trade a kill back as he catches Karzeka on the buck, but it's a small gesture at this point. Great, you brought a 2v5 down to a 2v4. You have no position to retake the site with. So what exactly are you going to do? They did try to throw out a nitro cell, but it's not going to work out. One more kill picked up by Bio will be the end of it, as Empire trade out the last two and take a very clean opening round.
Again, this site lives or dies on it. Can you hold down CCTV? And Team Empire can definitely take it. We know that much. And TSM just didn't even really have anything to build off of. There wasn't a single frag there where you go, okay, this is their time where they can finally battle back. Especially after, well, Team Empire was able to recognize how no one was on site. I mean, that's easy. You go open the wall up. I mean, you really don't have to open it up, but you want to, so you have that sight line. Opens the wall up and gets the diffuser down and makes it a pretty easy first round for their offensive half. TSM now running back up to Armory Lockers. They're going to try and switch things up, as actually, no, it is going to be actually the exact same lineup as Bio will switch off of the Ella. They have to try and figure something out here for CCTV room, because as of right now, this is not going to work out for them, especially with the way that they're playing it. They were trying to handle detention with the vertical angles that they made downstairs, but there wasn't any access from Team Empire to detention. All they had was the wall open. Had some frag grenades on them, did not end up hopping to the hole. Droned upstairs first, recognizing out that, hey, they're more than likely going to be trying to shut down that bottom pressure that we're going to try and apply. And they did. So, with that being said, into round two now, we need an adjustment here by TSM, and sadly enough, I don't know how to try and help them. There's no recommendation I could possibly give to go, this is the area where they're failing. It's just Team Empire playing very good Siege on offense.
So, with Team Empire getting a start like that, it's got to be worrisome for TSM, because they try, like, to be fair, they do try a relatively aggressive start on TSM side, but it just does not work at all. So they will have to change up that strategy immensely if they want to have any success with it. But if that first round is any indication, this is looking like a strong start for Empire, and a lot of adjustments that need to be made by TSM. We'll see. Pretty standard setup, though, when it comes to the reinforcements, able to give them strong play on the inside of Fountain and eventually fall back to the archives if necessary, along with their usual setup on the inside of the armory room itself.
Well, joystick on Ash, but no longer the R4C that we saw him play for so very long with that ACOG. It lost its ACOG, folks. It did. Crap. But now going to be running the G36C instead, and we saw it Milan. He's definitely still as prolific with this operator as he ever has been, even with the less lustered weapon in his hands, but it still has that ACOG, and that's all joystick needs.
It's also the interesting fact that we actually haven't seen joystick play on Ash a lot, considering how often he generally plays it outside of this event so far. So it's an interesting point there, but it looks like he's going to have the confidence to jump into it, and more so the freedom, I guess you could say, to jump into it here on this run. Karzeka gets us started out once again, finding Merc early in the round. Bolo with a great find, though, able to isolate out joystick a second later, and Pojoman also catches the trade onto Karzeka. Now trying to be a little bit more cautious of runouts from the east stairwell. They will put a Claymore down to prevent any action from the defender side.
I think that's really the only thing that TSM can do is try and prevent this bottom floor take to shut out what's happened inside of CCTV. Shepard continues to dance with this angle, hops through the window, immediately taking down Bolo, immediately to his right. Another gunfight, but it's going to be Bio to take him down. It's all left up to Dan, who's biding his time inside a break room, waiting for a Chief to peek, and he's going to find it. Knocks us down to a 1 versus 2. Still very winnable, has plenty of time, and more than likely it has the drone on person. We haven't seen anyone's drone get destroyed just yet, but that definitely doesn't mean that it has not happened. He more than likely at least has one or has drones in place from his teammates to help him out just a little bit. But Poj more than likely has plenty of those Talk to Babes left, as we are going to hear one go off now. His concussion will get eaten up though by the ADS. As of right now, it seems that TSM has finally found the answer, and it's shut down that bottom floor take by the Buck. They recognized out that Karzeka was clearing that mid floor by, or excuse me, that bottom floor by himself. Ended up punishing that out. Dan does have the diffuser. He can't possibly get this down. Going to rush through, but immediately his feetsies are going to get eaten up by that SMG-11 of Pojo Man, and TSM will find their first round on defense.
So much better setup that time from TSM. The first round, a lot of people were dying as they were either kind of out on an island on their own, not really with a lot of support from teammates, or they were just dying to utility, which is unfortunate. Not a whole lot you can do about that. This time they had players constantly set up to be traded with each other, and that's mainly how TSM won it. Like, you still saw Empire getting picks every once in a while, but it would almost immediately get traded out by someone who was right next to the player on TSM going down, or right around the corner on the next angle. So really good setup there from TSM to make sure they didn't lose too many players too quickly.
Applying pressure to the right places, contesting 90, which is a very, very big deal on border. If you give that up, then you practically give up CCTV. You have to continue to try and rotate people through and hold down the top of metal stairs, because if you don't do that, it grants you pretty easy access, especially to trying to apply some pressure to CCTV room to get them out. They had that early pressure from Karzeka underneath that ended up wiping out the likes of Merc, but an immediate refrag downstairs from Pojo. He was literally everywhere. That's something that we've only really seen come from Pojo Man on TSM. We've seen it sometimes with the likes of Merc on his roam game, but it really has been Poj on this flex roll where he's just been all over the map at almost every single moment.
And a lot of the time saving his team too in pretty rough situations, so kind of being that consistent rock they need to bring them out of bad scenarios when other players might be trying riskier things. So Pojo Man kind of anchor keeping his team alive in a lot of these situations, or keeping them grounded, I guess you could say. His anchor is often uses a different terminology. So moving into the next round here, it's time to see once again what Empire are going to be able to get themselves up to. The first successful defense means it's going to be the first site rotation we see from TSM, and they are moving along a predictable path. Over from Armory, back downstairs into the workshop now.
I feel like Pojo Man is just the team dad that makes sure that everyone's, drinking their electrolytes and everything to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
That's definitely Pojo's role. He's like, oh, buddy, don't worry, I can help you out. It's okay, I got you. Drink your electrolytes.
Come in and fix this mess real quick.
Yeah, drink your electrolytes. It's cherry flavor.
Billo spilled his energy juice again.
Yeah, but round number 3 now, and it seems that TSM is going for the exact same route. Hold this mid-floor, or excuse me, hold this basement floor, make sure that there can be no pressure applied, especially from that detention area, which we've seen Team Empire try and force their way through almost every single time, but it seems like things are going to get switched up now. Karzeka not going to be going for detention just yet, as more than likely it will happen, as again, Team Empire is a team that do the same thing over and over again with minor adjustments, continue to pummel down on the defense. Things tied up for now, though.
I heard a choke noise, that was weird. We've got the rest of the team working their way. Oh, I think it's the electrical fence.
Yeah, Shepard was getting electrified. And
I was about to say, we don't have any smoke grenades out. Wrong sound cue. But anyway, we've got the team moving in now. We're starting to try and pressure their way forward, just making sure no one attempted to trick that first, but they will manage to get the wall open. Now Vigil will scrape forward to take out that drone. Scyther is going to be able to strike first, though. Knocks out Bolo, who's probably close to that western wall they popped open. Joystick wrapping around. Bio not ready to take the fight. Merc, though, is there for the trade once again. That's what we were talking about, that they were using to leverage them back into the last round as well, was players always in a good position to be able to trade, and that's exactly what we saw right there.
Attackers have located
all right, we'll just a little bit into the sub round here, as Empire does have all top control. TSM Still being able to bide their time downstairs. Don't have a Nitro Cell on Achieve to try and help much at this point. Pojo still might have one. Achieve's going to get down on the top of Metal, though. It's going to make this just a little bit easier for Team Empire. Merc still does have those Yokai drones, but they have the likes of Scyther on offense to get rid of them if so needed. Pojo also actually does not have a Nitro Cell. So with lack of utility, this is looking like it might be Team Empire's round unless some heroics are pulled off by TSM. Merc's going to be holding down the bottom of Metal. Pojo's going to get very aggressive, but he doesn't even know where he is. Shepard is just a ghost right now. Pojo not able to find him. It's going to be all up to Merc. They're going to have him on the Yokais, though, as he will knock down one. Does he get the second? He will. That's going to be the diffuser as well. Merc on a triple kill. He's going to have to try and ace it out to win this. Hasn't shown too much face so far in Border Scyther's going to don the mantle, though, and starts to put that diffuser down. They do have Karzeka holding an angle inside of server, though.
Hop through this wall is going to be the toughest part. Those last 2 kills, though, that's that pre-aim. I was talking about the pre-game from Merc. It's next level as he finds yet another kill on the cusp of an ace now. Just needs one more, and look how low Karzeka is. In fact, I think he knows where he's at. He's got a general idea anyway. Went for the pre-fire. He doesn't know if he's outside or hiding on the inside, though. He'll be on the other side of this server block waiting for him. And meanwhile, the diffuser waits around the corner. The problem for Merc is he doesn't seem to have the intel, and there's so many different positions where Karzeka could be playing into. No reason for him to peek right now. A drone was just spotted out. Less than a quarter of the time left, and Karzeka, he doesn't catch the foot around the server block and throws away the potential ace clutch, giving yet another round to Empire, but just barely. Just by a sliver of HP, Karzeka gets away with that one. And of course, importantly, a lack of intel from TSM's last player.
The tunnel vision to not see the man's foot. Again, I understand that us as spectators obviously have that beautiful X-ray vision where we get to see everything through walls, but the man's foot is literally sticking through the server, Merc. Come on, just bring it down a little bit. Get rid of that tunnel vision instead of thinking you know exactly where he is sitting on the angle. I know you heard him drop. We all heard that little bit of a slip of him landing on the ground, but so very close. So very close. Again, though, when it comes down to having to perform heroics, it's not supposed to happen. It just hurts when it gets down to those 1v1s and you see it almost one out. All it would take is him to recognize the foot. One bullet on any part of that body ends up killing Karzeka, and that's a clutch round by Merc.
And so now, to our next rounds here. Empire continue to dominate. Just barely taking control of the round that time. TSM will go for yet another attempt at the defense of this site, nearly closing it out right there. Unfortunately, the aggression, again, especially in the mid-round, just overextending itself slightly. We were seeing those trades come out, but then we continued to see players take further risks, especially at the main stairs. And unfortunately, taking those duels once again caused them to fall behind in the numbers game. And eventually allowed for Empire to get onto the site. So nearly seeing that ace clutch from Merc, though. Would have been clip of the day, to be sure, but not going to happen. Just barely going to fall short of that one.
That one just hurts the heart, man. Yeah. It really does. That just hurts your heart when you see somebody come so close to an ace clutch. It just doesn't work out in the end. But again, not off of lack of trying, because those were some insane shots. And as you were saying earlier, the man's aim placement is almost top of the world. It's truly insane. For anyone to try and rival Joystick right now, it's definitely got to be him.
So Joystick's going to work his way up, and as usual, into the west balcony here. No reinforcements this time onto the west balcony wall this time, so it is going to allow for them to work their way, at least if they want to take that direct push inside of the armory relatively quickly, but that might end up being a mistake, as you can see, all 3 out of 5 of the members from the defense on TSM right now are squared up inside of the Archives armory sites. Just preparing for this kind of a push and pretty much getting ready for this exact play. So you need to be very careful about how they proceed. Nitro Cell going out, did have the right angle, but it was caught, I believe, by Joystick. He was able to shift over to his right and avoid the DPS from that one.
Stun grenade going through. Joystick going to flash himself, though, and he's going to go down because of it. That's a massive pick. Joystick going to be the initial frag here in round number 4. TSM now riding high on their horse, especially knowing that that absolute phenom is off the field.
Not what you necessarily like to see, at least when it comes to Joystick's own play. So Empire are going to start to get a little bit worried now. They're actually going to bypass second floor control pretty much entirely, as far as I can see now, and just start to push directly towards the workshop itself. Ooh, a nice unpeak Nearly managed to catch Karzeka there, but Karzeka gets the kill himself instead. He turns it back around. Oh, an adjustment onto Merc as well to find Tim and take him down. And now they're going to walk right into the site. They still have to worry about roam potential upstairs as they did not clear it. That is going to be a problem for them. And you can already see that bearing fruit. Achieved. Able to pick off Dan, but that was the attempt to clear them out. Now they can push downstairs and start this retake relatively quickly as Empire took a huge gambit by attempting this plant without that control. Karzeka continues, however, finds his third kill on the round. Shepard gets the fourth, and now it's all down onto Achieved in a 1v3 scenario. No positioning to play with. Scyther finishes it off for Empire, and they continue to push ahead at 3-1.
Again, Karzeka. Just this entire Team Empire roster, no matter what it comes down to, you can't slouch on any of them, man. All of them can perform these heroics that you just don't see. And what a shot by Karzeka, able to thread the needle between those bars and find the head of Merc. Truly an insane shot that definitely ended up leading to them winning this round. And it was all off the back of that initial gunfight that he had with Pojo downstairs. He almost lost that. As you said, him backing off that angle at the time that he did was almost a godsend.
And so, TSM fall to pieces in a bit of an unorthodox take from Empire, but it gets the job done. The timer has expired, however, now on the lock for the upstairs site. So that means for one of these last rounds on the defensive side for TSM, they can head back upstairs into Armory Archives.
So just an update for you guys on the Group B matchup that's going on. It's Rogue versus Team Secret to start the day over on the Bravo channel. And in typical fashion, when Flynn casts, we're going to map 3. Secret won Clubhouse 7-4, Rogue won Bank 8-6, and Coast is their final match. Once again, if you guys are on a computer, make sure you guys are using that multi-Twitch link where you can put in Rainbow Six and Rainbow Six Bravo after the backs or after the forward slashes to watch both of them at the same time. Otherwise, keep your 2 tabs up, get a beverage. There's so much Siege going on today, guys. Plenty of stuff to watch and a lot of incredible matchups.
Yeah, we still have 6 more matches spread across our 2 streams after these first 2 finish, guys. So,
but wait, there's more.
Quite a bit more, in fact.
Quite a bit more.
It's got the same exact schedule tomorrow.
It'll be a long, incredible day.
And then on Wednesday, we finally bring it back down to 1 stream to finish things off here in the groups. So everybody's going to be here on the main stream at that point, but we still have 4 more matches on Wednesday to finish off the group stage before we take a bit of a break on Thursday and get started with the real fun on Friday. That's when all you guys get to start showing up here and watch the games live.
Yeah, that's when the main stage kicks in, but first things first, we got to figure out who's going to be there, and right now we got to figure out who's going to win this. Is it going to be TSM? Is it going to be Team Empire? Dan the first to fall, and it's going to be to none other than Bolo. And again, this man has been showing up so well so far, but it's going to be Scyther to finally shut him down, but not after he's already taken down the Zofia, which is a very big pick. Dan's been doing very well, or at least his due diligence, with this utility, and has made quite a few gunfights a lot easier for himself as well as his teammates.
So a 1-for-1 exchange once again. Merc nearly getting picked there, though. He loses about half of his HP to a spray. I'm pretty sure from Shepard, if that's Merc roaming around downstairs. So a little bit of random fire from Shepard. Gets about 50 HP off of Merc, which is going to be a pretty good deal for him. He just doesn't know it yet, of course.
Well, as we've seen from Team Empire so far, slow and steady wins the race. They're leaning quite a bit on this information game. Don't want to try and peek anything unless they know exactly where that member of TSM is. But again, that does lean quite a bit on the drone game. They've done quite a good job of it so far. But again, what else would we expect from the likes of Team Empire? They've been truly incredible so far throughout this matchup. But again, of these 2 teams, the one you have to be the most impressed by is TSM and what they've been able to achieve so far. This map is still within grasp. They still can pick it up, especially when you have plays like this achieved with the Nitro Cell. Quick hop out by Bio, but gonna catch a couple bullets in the shoulder for his liking.
Bio just immediately whips around, too. I don't even think he shot. He's like, oh, this didn't work. I'm gonna run back inside real quick.
I'd much rather not die.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than making the mistake of committing to it, I suppose, at that point, because to be fair, he was read like a book by Shepard right there. So good reads by Shepard to be able to keep an eye on that one, along with the rest of Empire for not getting tripped up by these aggressive plays. Nade to deal with the bulletproof camera. There you go, got it. So they've got a little bit more free roam to work, or at least you think they'd have a little bit more free roam to work with, but Bio over the shield catches Cars. I'm not sure if they caught Bio transitioning to the half wall. It looks like Shepard did. but I don't think they're 100% certain of it just yet. The peek, however, from the Valkyrie.
No.
Achieved is going to get knocked out as a result of that one, and this is, again, that slightly over-aggressive tendency. TSM taking fights that are somewhat questionable. They don't necessarily need to. The push from Joystick, he immediately knows where Bio is, nearly turns it around onto Pojo Man as well, but he survives in the small office and swings out with the M590 to finish off Shepard and keep TSM in the match.
Pojo Man, let's go. TSM bringing it back right now, trying to tie things up. But again, Team Empire, they've been doing so well with this information, but it seems like immediately when something slips through the cracks, they get punished by it. That's the only thing that's really bringing Team Empire down right now, is there's been a few members that have been able to slip through, and once they're able to recognize out, okay, Team Empire has done this almost every single time. They always push a guy through here, they always push a guy through here. That's when you see a lot of the utility kills coming through. We saw Nitro Stuff from Achieved come out right there, able to recognize out that, okay, yeah, Team Empire has mostly done this. I'm more than likely going to be able to claim a free kill because of that. And with that initial frag onto Dan from Bolo. Removing Zofia makes things a whole hell of a lot easier, man. No more concussions you have to worry about, no impacts. Again, removing Dan from the play early on makes things quite a bit easier. But for TSM, it's really on the backbone of their defense, which is going to be those anchors in the likes of Poge. Rotating back to site, working that SMG-11. The only thing is I'm very surprised that no one was holding that cross for half wall, and they just allowed Bio to be just blatantly murdered by Joystick. Yes.
Yeah, it's you kind of have to wonder what like Pojo was doing, because he was in small office.
Yeah, he was in small. He was playing the door because he really couldn't play inside of small office since the wall was broken open.
Yeah. So unfortunately, he is not able to catch it and support his team at that point. But thankfully, he makes up for it at the end of the round with the double pick that he got, and he even had support from another teammate if that was really necessary. But thankfully, he gets it done all on his own, brings TSM back to the fold. Potentially still another 4-2 half being thrown against them, though, if they fall once again, as this is not going to be an easy site to hold at Bathroom Tellers for the last defense.
A lot of people were asking, who do you think of the number 4 seeds is going to be the most contested team at this LAN? A lot of people said TSM, and this is the exact reason. There's not a lot of VOD on them. Obviously, they're in Pro League, but inside of North America Blue, they're the bottom Pro League team.
Yeah.
The very bottom. They're under the Susquehanna Sonics, and they are playing against Team Empire so well right now. It's truly incredible. Again, just because you are the bottom of Pro League, oh, we're just out of Challenger League, oh, we're just in Challenger League, doesn't mean that you can't play against the best teams in the world and show them exactly what Rainbow Six Siege is about. And TSM is definitely bringing it to the Russian machine right now.
I think the message I like to hammer into people's heads is that Siege is a very, very different game on LAN.
Oh, so much.
Online. If you play any other competitive FPSs, it's very similar to that, to where the game just feels and plays in a completely different fashion when you actually get it on a LAN client. And there are teams that, to be honest, like they're either on-lanners or onliners in a lot of respects. Rogue is one of those.
G2.
Rogue is one of those as well. We see them do great stuff. Oh, another nice nade kill from Karzeka, by the way. That's like his third, I think, or fourth nade kill this match. So
I like this
doing
drone
good
by
work with
Karzeka. Joystick will take down Bolo as well, as Karzeka is going to continue to find that information that Joystick needs. He continues on this train, trying to find round number 4 for at least Team Empire, making this a 4-2, and they're definitely doing their due diligence right now. Pojo and Achieve, the last 2 remaining for TSM. They have to try and pick up the pieces here, but I don't think it's going to work out for them. They're on one of those off sites right now. They're on Bathroom Tellers, and this site has never been known for the defense winning too often.
Yeah, and as you can see, the defensive setup, as you kind of expect on a site like this, is just going to get torn to shreds. Pojo Man able to trade back for 1 kill. Joystick takes him a second, but he does find Achieved. Doing a little bit of hunting through the wall there. Gets them done, and as well, Pojo Man is going to get caught as he tries to make a move upstairs on those main steps. So Empire close out and once again take a 4-2 advantage coming out at halftime.
Yeah, Empire's done a very good job of isolating these staircases on border, especially with those bottom sites. And once they gain the pressure that they need, they've been able to isolate those staircases, make it a lot harder for TSM to try and rotate up to help out their friends. It's more or less, you know, up the creek without a paddle at that point. It's you have to try and win that long-distance gunfight with a 1x sight against an ACOG on an extremely tight angle. If you win that out, again, that's a feat in and of itself.
And so now that we have switched, obviously the site's locks are going to be reset. So we're heading back to Armory Archives for Team Empire's first defense. Would be very surprised if we went anywhere else for that, to be honest, although I've seen a few teams start out on a workshop to throw a couple curveballs, so Wouldn't be too far out there.
You can more or less use a universal operator lineup for this map, though. Like hard destruction still helps downstairs. You know, it's whatever. So we are going to be going up to Armory Locker's archives, though, as we are going to be showing the round breakdown from the previous map of TSM and Rogue, so you guys are able to see that and see that, hey, guess what? Now we're on map 3, which is Coastline, happening over on the Rainbow Six Bravo channel. So once again, if you're not using multiple tabs or the multi-Twitch page, make sure that you have something up on your phone, whatever, to watch that secondary match that's going on, because both of these matches right now are absolute heaters.
All right, guys, time to see if we can see TSM rebound at all in the attack, or if it's going to be an Empire matchup now, as they definitely seem to take control, just like they did on Clubhouse to a certain extent, especially in the later rounds. Seems like they might be getting that control a little bit earlier on this time, but we've still seen signs of life from TSM, so we don't want to count them out of this one just yet, but it is starting to look dire, that is for sure.
Well, across this entire story that we've had so far between these two teams, it was really only Kafe where they really showed anything on offense, but even then, Team Empire was still able to take it to them. We're going to actually have the Roni being run now by Shepard, but I feel like TSM on their offensive side is just a touch worse than their defensive side, so we'll have to see if they're able to find anything here on border, or if Team Empire is just going to be walking away with this 7-3 or 7-2.
Well, we've got Merc starting his charge first. He's going to take the Ash Mantle this time, start to work his way back in, being a little bit cautious, as you can see that silhouette there in the distance of any response that might work its way in from the southern door leading into CCTV. Shepard also getting himself into a small skirmish here too. Quite a few players actually from Empire ending up in smaller fights to try and take control of some of these initial areas.
Some very smart angles here from Team Empire's joystick's going to go for a run, and that's going to lead to Merc falling. And this is one thing that TSM did not do on defense. You didn't see any of these little niche runouts or anything like that, and that's what we've grown to love about watching Joystick play this game. It almost seems perfectly timed every single time that he does it. And again, there has been no gridlock or anything picked up to try and stop this. Pojo Man gets shut down. Dan's looking for another one on top of these stairs. He's going to try and challenge him from the office's door instead. Docks himself up, going to overheal just a touch, but instead tries to play a little bit slower and bide his time.
Tried to go for the office take, unfortunately left that western balcony way too undefended, and the run out yields quite a bit of success, specifically from Joystick, and once again stunts the TSM roster with zero room, at least at this point in the round, for a response. So they are locked into this 5v3. Bio nearly catching a player. I think it was Dan, just on the other side of the offices here, but can't line up the shot. Dan is locked in position, though, slightly. It's not going to matter, however. Joystick finds yet another pickup. Dan finally swings out of his box and catches achieved. And now it's just Biologic way on the outside by South Balcony, who's just going to get picked by Scyther. And a flawless round from Empire, yet again, their third of the matchup.
Yeah, 3 maps in a row, 1 flawless round on every single map. And the difference between Team Empire and Team TSM on these defenses is the fact that TSM, in those instances where they have man advantage, they get too antsy. It's something we were talking about earlier, and they over-peak. Whereas you saw Team Empire, we thought Dan was going to go for that aggressive peak on the office's door. But instead, docks himself up, slows things down and goes, I don't need to peek this. All we need to do is sit here, bide time, waste this time for them, force them into our matchups instead of us trying to give them something, more or less a line to someone drowning. And just ended up not working out for TSM because, again, when you have that playstyle of, okay, we already have our initial picks, we're not trying to give someone a line to try and get out of the situation that they're in, just let them dig that hole even deeper. That's exactly what happened. Team Empire stacking up extremely well on that last defense.
All right, so let's get into what could be the start of some of our final rounds here if Empire continues to dominate on this defensive half. For the guys from TSM, they need to step up, and they need to step up right now. This has been a bit of a dangerous trend now with the way that Empire's been taking control of these rounds, and as you saw from the last round, they're given freedom of aggression on defense once again, which is something that they really haven't had. TSM in past maps has done a pretty good job of dealing with this, but at least if that first round is any indication, they're starting to get shaken a little bit. They're not catching these things that they were on previous rounds.
All right, well, TSM was not really able to find too much on Vent's defense when they were here, so see if Team Empire can possibly do something. It's going to be an initial spawn peek here from Dan. This is a pretty rudimentary spot, so we'll see if he's able to find anything. It's going to be Merc to fall. They didn't even drone the hallway yet.
Oh, no!
Oh, my God! Pojo good night, my friend, as Dan continues his reign with this ACOG inside of offices. Again, a rudimentary angle, and he ends up winning it out anyways.
They fall right into it, not just once, but twice, giving away the kills to Dan. And this is what I was talking about, just losing the plot far too quickly here. Bolo with a good entry, achieved to follow it up. This might reignite them slightly into the round, but it's already down to just those 2 players. You still have 3 standing strong on the side of Empire. And most of them are upstairs as well, so you can't push the site. You'll just get picked like fish in a barrel if you try to go for it right now.
How do you come back from that in that round? Because that is something that you can't even account for. Just a quick spray through, just knowing the angle is Dan and able to pick the man apart. Quick shots as Jaeger will not fall. Joystick's going to take a little bit of damage, but it's actually going to be Bolo as Joystick will finally get his head ripped off, but not before he does. A lot of damage to achieved. Rock in a hard place now. Scyther's going to try and get aggressive, but the man has already rotated out. Dan still playing inside of offices as well. Bolo has been down, actually downstairs. I don't think they're able to recognize out. Cancel that. They have been able to recognize out that the man is downstairs. They do now have the diffuser now as Achieved has to try and play hero once again. Look how much time is on the clock and look at how many people remain on the field. This game so far on Border, at least with Team Empire on defense, has been so very aggressive.
Achieve trying to pull off a miracle here right now. The nade bounce probably going to fall a little bit short for his needs, but it might bite him a little bit. At least I was hoping a few seconds of idle time. Not going to be the case. Dan strikes yet again with what I believe is his 3rd kill on the round. Absolutely destroying the push from TSM before it even really got started and setting his team up at match point as well now.
Well, when you have the opening kill as well as someone added to it in the first 10 seconds of the round, you're expected to win that, and that's exactly what we're going to have as Team Empire currently up 6-2 on map and match point here on Border. And guess what, guys? Team Empire can also play Border. Again, with a map pool of 7 maps, you have to be able to play every single one of them. Obviously, you have your initial ban that you get. That's great, but it always comes down to one of these off maps that you have to try and pick up the pieces, and especially in best of 3s. You're always going to be on a decider where you're like, okay, you know, we have to be able to play this map at a prolific level. And in recent history, we've seen a lot of their 3rd maps as Clubhouse or something we've seen them on before where we just go, okay, Team Empire is truly incredible on this map. I mean, we saw that the last map of Clubhouse. Now we're on Border, which, as we stated before, between these 2 teams banned 26 times. And it seems that Team Empire, just yet another pocket.
All right, well, let's see. So we've got Team Empire right on the cusp of it. It's been a long series to be sure, going the distance on all 3 maps. Already been playing this for a little over 2.5 hours now. Looking to get the closeout, finish off their day, sending them further into the upper bracket for their group and knocking TSM down to the bottom.
This game has been moving so quickly. I blinked and we're already at 6-2 on Border from where we started. So if the rest of the day is going to go like this, you guys definitely better be ordering some food and cuddling up with the TV, because we definitely have a lot of exciting matchups for today. It's been so incredible so far. This Joystick right now trying to make that long angle over towards the balcony as Team Empire slowing things down just a little bit.
Oh, come on! Don't give him the angle again! Okay, at least Merc doesn't die this time.
You say that, but he might end up dying to Joystick here.
Oh,
because that's a bullet
It's
angle.
the same angle, too, I'm pretty sure, as the last round. They're very close to. No, it's literally the same angle.
That's the one that Pojo got absolutely destroyed from.
Yep.
They didn't even have the angle established. He just pre-fired through the wall and ripped the man's head off.
It's that CCTV doorway from the south balcony. So once again, a member of TSM nearly falling victim to literally the same thing that killed 2 of them in the last round. Thankfully this time, though, Merc avoids it.
Ooh. Oh, I think that's going to be it. Yep. There it is.
Oh, nice! Just a tiny little angle. It's not even Merc either. It's actually Bolo they find out. So the IQ is going to be gone. No ability to detect those yokai drones if they need to go for a late round push into this site.
It's scary the amount of things in this game that you just have to rudimentary fire now. Like,
yeah.
you just have to do it.
Tiny little hole.
Because the time that you don't, again, like even with an ACOG, you look at the big hole above and you're like, okay, he's going to peek. Oh, I'm dead. It's just,
because you can't even see that. That's such a small hole like that.
It's so very tiny. And it's definitely making things a lot easier for Team Empire here on this defensive half. TSM has not been able to find a dang thing. They're slowly getting picked apart. They haven't even had any access to the upstairs. I mean, they can try and walk into archives here, but you have Joystick on one side and Dan on the other. It's pick your poison at that point.
Yeah, like I said, TSM kind of losing the plot at this point, trying to figure out a way to get back into this. And to credit where credit's due, Achieved with that trade does start to force the way back into it. Problem is, on execute, they haven't really done a lot of drone work as far as I've been able to tell, and that means they're walking into some pretty solid setups here from Empire. Bio trading it back again. If he can get one more kill, they've got a chance in this one, but Achieved actually running around the corner on joystick. He's not ready for it. That's that second kill they needed to find in order to bring them back into it, as now they've tied it up at 2v2, and they still have a little under a minute left.
This is so very dangerous. If they do not know that Karzeka is inside of CCTV, this could spell disaster, but it does appear that Achieved has the information. They do have one man downstairs. It's Shepard. He does not have a Nitro Cell to try and win anything out. Quick shots as Karzeka is going to take quite a bit of damage and immediately drops down to Customs, trying to keep himself alive, as once again they are on the Customs defense. They're on the full rotation right now. Can they win it on the offsite?
Until Mabel out Shepard to figure out that the drop happened. Either way, Cars is going to be lined up on a perfect angle to catch Bio. When he peeks, that hatch now all down onto Achieved. He'll go for a nade into the corner. It's not going to matter. Cars picks him off on peak. And that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Empire will win the opening match of our Alpha stream here for the Major. Push themselves further into Group A, whereas TSM will now go down to the lower bracket.
Incredible matchup between the two. Absolutely incredible matchup. And I mean, all the way down to the last kill. If he cooks that frag grenade just a touch longer, Echo dies. But immediately when he saw the frag grenade flying through the air, he just stood up and pre-fired the door. And ends up picking up the frag right before the frag grenade goes off to kill Karzeka. And just overall, Empire definitely still in stride. But again, you have to give this to TSM. Absolutely incredible showing up against one of the best teams in the entire world.